This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rocco.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
How are you, Commander?
Well, we're here, Dallas, Texas.
We are live from Dallas, Texas at the winter meetings. It's absolutely beautiful in Dallas right now. Actually, the weather is very similar to the Bay Area. It is 7:16 back on the West Coast. Hope everybody is doing well. We start out the meetings with an absolute bombshell. And this is completely opposite of what happened last year when we were in Nashville, and really what's happened a few years prior to that in San Diego when we had the winter meetings, where we had no action whatsoever. There was speculation on to boredom. We've got nothing but bombshell after bombshell for us for the Athletics. We start out the winter meetings with the Luis Severino. It's the first time we've been on since we were in Sacramento, and Luis Severino signed that record contract with our organization, which I can guarantee you when we have people on, and we will have everybody in our industry on here, as the Commander does an unbelievable job with the guest list. That was a big shock to the system, everybody in baseball, that we signed Luis Severino and that he would sign to play with the Athletics for 3 years in Sacramento. It's 2 years with a player's option. But the big news, obviously, is Juan Soto. And we were on a plane last night because you get Wi-Fi on the plane. We got the updates of the Juan Soto contract, the 15 years, $765 million, and it is game on. It is truly game on now here at the winter meetings of who's up next, and I have a feeling that we're going to be getting a lot of news fast and furious. The great Ray Jensen, the Karate Kid, is here monitoring Twitter, so we'll keep you update on all the signings. This is a great location, the way they have the meeting set up, because we're all on one level now. It's all flat. It's all on one level. Last year, Nashville was kind of a mess because where we were next to the Cubs television marquee and where we were KMOX of the St. Louis Cardinals, people had a hard time finding us until the managers would talk. Now we're on one level, going to be easy for everybody else to find us. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, these things are always exciting, but always a lot of prep work going in, setting the stage for everyone to see. Well, for everyone here to see. Everyone can see is you and I in a backdrop.
Yeah.
But everything around this is cool. I haven't got a chance to really explore this hotel. Ray and I are staying literally a 2-minute walk away from this hotel. So my wife just dropped us off this morning, and
it's right down the street.
Yeah. Lugging those bags around is never fun. But, I got here this morning. We talked to Mike Petriello. He's here. He'll come out with us sometime this week.
Yeah.
Saw Farron.
Mike Petriello, who is a huge Juan Soto guy. I would say he's beaming. Normally.
And he lives in New York, so I'm sure he's excited to see Soto stay in New York.
Normally, for so many years doing this, I was pro player. When a guy got a deal, because if anybody remembers way back when Alex Rodriguez was a free agent, it was in this hotel where we are in Dallas, where he got that record deal from then the Rangers owner, Tom Hicks. And, there's always, if you remember that famous book, The Tipping Point, there always is a point where, okay, where is this thing going? Is it good or bad for the sport? And it is really an honest question and a good question. Is this good or is this bad? I'm not going to say who the agent was last night on our plane, but there was flying here, obviously, everybody in our industry. You got to remember, at the winter meetings, everybody from our industry is coming here. So whether it's media, well, more importantly, it's all the personnel to kind of explain. It's the convention of baseball. It's everybody in baseball getting together. So there's so many meetings going on, and the meetings are everybody in baseball gets together, right? So everybody who's in tickets gets together, everybody who's in security, everybody who's in, so all the people who are in merchandise, everybody who's in promotions, all the different groups and facets of our game, they get together and they meet. The media just kind of has taken over this event. This event really isn't about us. It's basically a convention. So right to the left of us, so all the farm directors are going to be getting together in baseball. It's a convention that we, the media, and obviously we're not media anymore, but we come in and we kind of eavesdrop, and we've kind of made this our event, but this really is an event for everybody in baseball to get together and talk. And they talk about the future of the game and how everything works inside the game. Everybody in public relations, all the PR people will get together. So that's what the meetings are all about. But now we've made it a spectacle because that's what you do, right? In every single sport, it's the same thing. And remember the NFL draft? No one went to the NFL draft years ago. The NFL draft was GMs got together. Not every GM went there. They put their picks in by phone. The next day, we'd look in the paper and we see who was drafted. But now they've made it a big event. We've done a great job in all the sports making things big-time events. And this one is where we kind of come together as an industry and kind of celebrate the industry. And we get to see the movers and the shakers. All the GMs are here, the assistant general managers. But getting back to what we were talking about last night on our plane, a prominent baseball agent was on our plane and talked about how this deal obviously is great for agents. It's great for Scott Boras. The great Bob Nightengale walking by. We'll have him a little bit later from the USA Today. But, is this good for the overall game? And you can really argue it two ways. You can argue it, well, with all the money that there's been a tremendous amount of money thrown around so far in free agency, what means we're kind of coming out of that lockout COVID time where people were really worried. It tells you that the industry possibly back-to-back years of $700 million contracts, that the industry is flush with cash and that the industry is healthy. So that there's that look at it. I'm not a big soccer guy, but I've had some people that I play a lot of golf with who are English and they love soccer. And they'll tell you that when the oil money got into soccer and all of a sudden you brought in people who were, however you feel about the oil money coming into professional sports, really interesting how that really changed soccer, where they were spending money to where the billions of dollars that were being spent was just completely out of control. And I'm wondering where does the industry go where you have the Dodgers deferring over $1 billion in contracts. You have the Mets now because, Steve Cohen is worth over $20 billion. He's a hedge fund guy. Where does this work out for all of the industry, for the rest of the teams? And when you try and look at the health of baseball, is this good for baseball? And maybe, just maybe, when I bring this up and everybody goes, no, this is never going to happen, we look at a salary cap. Is this like the tipping point that leads everybody to baseball going, wait a minute, one player getting $765 million with the potential of this contract being up to $805 million for one player? What does that mean for the sport going forward? Healthy, good, bad? The agent on the plane last night told you bad. even though it's good for the agent's business. I found that very fascinating that an agent would look at the overall. Can you look at what's good for the overall business and looks at the overall business and goes, this is crazy.
Well, yeah, you're going to pay him close to $805 million. I know there's an opt-out after like 5 years, and if not, you have to pay him another $4 million each year to get to $55 million, and it's one player making that much. And
can we just agree that saying that there's an opt-out in the contract is just ridiculous?
Who's opting out of $51 million a year?
You're telling me you're going to opt out of $765 million because somebody else is going to pay you more.
Maybe his thinking would be in 5 years when he's 31 that he can get more. No, but we know.
So can we just stop? It's ridiculous.
These salaries.
Well,
though,
the big thing is the signing bonus, because there's a signing bonus of $75 million. So that's up front. Steve Cohen is going to give him $75 million up front. And until we can get official word, the Yankees offered 16 years to where the Mets offered 15 years. So obviously I only have to work for 15 versus 16. Right now, I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. Right now, the difference is like $5 million between the two offers. But the big deal, the Yankees didn't offer the signing bonus. So he's going to get $75 million up front. Obviously, the majority, 99.9% of all players won't see this. And I want to get to that next. But the question is, where is this for the sport? Healthy, good, bad? It kind of sets these precedents that, like we saw in soccer, once it gets out of control, which soccer has become. Like literally soccer with the Saudis and the billions coming in, from what I understand, at least the Premier League, I mean, it became absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you're talking about like your international side. You're not talking about MLS because,
I would never be talking about MLS.
What do you mean? Whoa, Messi had a historic year. But
stay
anyway,
on point here. We're trying to when the billions when the oil money came into soccer, it changed it to where you got guys that they bring in that they pay extreme amount of money that they know extreme amount of money that they know may never play.
Yeah, well, I've seen that happen the last few years in soccer, and like. One thing I look at, it's a little different because they have a salary cap, but I look at basketball. I mentioned this the other day. Like, nothing against Steph Curry, LeBron. They've earned their money, but there's guys that are fringe players in the NBA. They're making $30 million. So, and they have a salary cap, but they also have a huge TV deal. So looking at this, I think this should be a way to start having the conversation about a salary cap. I don't think it's good for the game.
I want to say the contract that led the NBA into labor strife and eventually where it is today, where it is healthy, and it got its salary cap. I want to say it was the Kevin Garnett deal with Minnesota. Does that sound right?
I'm going to look and see when they put their salary cap in.
I believe it was the Kevin Garnett deal, and everybody was like, oh, my God, this cannot continue. This is bad news. Maybe this is going to be something that is that tipping point and is something that will be good for the game of baseball going forward, because I don't buy, and I'm not an economist, so this is what it is. But Scott Boras for a long time has had the theory that the tides raise all boats. So the theory of that is if you keep getting the top players to keep going up and up and up and up, that it's going to make everybody else's salaries go up in the game, which that's kind of a fluid thing. And I don't think you can say that's actually true. And it's what the average players get seduced by the agents when they say this. But as of right now, what we've seen in our game is with the television contracts going out of our business, that we've started to see a lot of teams start to shed payroll. So that theory that as long as the top guys keep getting these big, huge pay raises, and I don't think Ohtani and Soto's deals can be in the same breath, right? You would look at like, okay, Luis Severino, he got a 3-year, well, what did we pay him? $67 million?
Yeah.
That's going to raise the next guy and the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. But the reality is we've seen so many teams right now who are going down in payroll that's not true. that you may say the top guys are getting their deals, which is true, but the lower level guys are not. The majority of the sport, they're not going up dramatically as we're seeing teams shed payroll. Right here, we saw the team win the World Series 2 years ago in the Texas Rangers. They shed payroll. You've seen the Boston Red Sox as a huge player. They've shed payroll. Look at the Chicago Cubs. They're looking to get rid of a couple guys, including
Bellinger,
Seiya Suzuki, and Bellinger. So they're looking to shed payroll. Big market team.
And they have their own TV network.
The White Sox, well, they started their own television network. Sounded great, but they haven't made the money they thought they were going to get on it. The White Sox, who were a big spender, we thought, where they wanted to go after Manny Machado, and they offered him a big deal. They are now not spending, so that's two big market teams. The St. Louis Cardinals supposedly are here at the meetings looking to shed Sonny Gray, Arenado, and go into retool, rebuild, reshape, whatever the hell you want to call it. So it's like, if you're telling me that these big deals are raising everybody's salaries, I'm going to tell you, you're full of crap, because there's teams everywhere that are starting to shed. And so there may be a certain percentage of players that this may help, but the majority of players, this doesn't help you, which I have argued. When you look at a true salary cap system, who is the biggest benefactor of a salary cap system? It's the lower level guys. All the lower guys make money. They make far more money because there's a floor and the money has to be spent. So when you come in and you say, well, if I look at an NBA roster and I look at the bench and I look down the bench and I go, how are all these guys making money they never play? To your point, it's because of salary cap. Because the salary cap, you have a floor. So, yes, I can only pay Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant so much. But with the floor, it means I got to pay all these other guys down at the end of the bench. And you need to explain to all these baseball players, you're the guys at the end of the bench that would be getting paid. Instead, you're not. You're getting lowballed.
It's the backup catchers and all that come in and play once a week that are making $15-20 million under a salary cap, and it helps them out more. You know, the Sotos, the Otanis, the Machados, Lindors, they're going to get they already have their money and going to get their money.
Correct.
It's the lower end guys that will be rewarded with the salary cap.
So you'd like to go into these clubhouses at spring training and go, hey, bozos, you guys are still okaying a system that allows the top 1%, we'll say the top 5%, to get theirs. And you guys are all getting nickel, dime, and arbitration. You guys are all getting nickel and dimed when you first get to the big leagues. Your first 6 years, you're getting nickeled and dimed while all the fat cats get rich. That's how the system is set up. And if you guys actually came together and went to the agents and say, Boris, we don't want to hear from you. Martín Gallegos, please sit down.
Let's go to break first, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll bring Martín on.
Well, the great Martín Gallegos is here, and usually when we have him on, it's later in the meetings. He is going to be our Ricky Henderson of the leadoff of the winter meetings. And the reason why is because we got something to talk about. The A's have a prize free agent pitcher. The breakdown of it next, right here on A's Cast Live.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
Brent Rooker, fresh off winning the 2024 Silver Slugger, spoke with Townie on A's Cast Live about the moment he realized his 2024 season was taking off.
Mid to late June, I think, is kind of when I kind of made the switch from who I was in 23 to who I was for the rest of the year. I think up until I think it was a series in Anaheim towards the back half of June. That up until that point, I had kind of been who I was in 23 still. The strikeouts were high. The average was kind of right where it had been the previous year. I had the power spurts, which is what were kind of keeping me productive. And then I made a few adjustments with swing-wise and preparation-wise. And to my approach that series in Anaheim and for the rest of the year, I was able to remain much more consistent in the fact that, like, I've always been very streaky power-wise, which is how a lot of guys work in the big leagues, right? The slugging kind of comes in bunches. You hit one homer, you tend to hit four. It's kind of that thing. So the difference between this year and last year was during those between those streaks of power, between those, little home run bursts, I was able to maintain. I was able to take my singles. I was able to take my walks. I was able to continue to get on base and remain productive in other ways to where I wasn't just solely relying on, hitting homers to produce runs.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Link Soul has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's general manager David Forst joined Townie on A's Cast Live and explained what positions he is looking to upgrade this offseason.
Third base is always the spot that jumps out at us as sort of the most unsettled spot on the diamond from this past season, and that's not to knock any of the guys who got reps and ABs over there, but it's just a fact. It was the one place on the diamond where we shuffled a lot of guys through and aren't quite sure what the answer is going forward. So you've got Schumann and Hernandez and Harris as possibilities there. You potentially have Max Muncy as an option there if Jacob's going to play shortstop. But the reality is we need to figure it out. So as we look out there, what's available, that's a spot we're keeping in mind. Not unlike every other offseason, pitching is at the top of our mind. And we did such a good job putting the rotation together this year. And JP continues to be the constant at the top of our rotation, the guy you can count on. And Beto and Spence and JT and Estes, all these guys did such a good job stepping up, essentially doing more on the major league stage than they'd ever been asked of before. So starting pitching, continuing to augment the bullpen is always going to be, a priority for us. But it is nice to sort of feel like the spots that I haven't mentioned, maybe there's an answer there that's going to be there for a while.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Streaming from the winter meetings, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
We back? Welcome back to the winter meetings in Dallas, Texas. Martín Gallegos from MLB.com is with us. And, I want to start the whole meetings, Martín, talking about Luis Severino because it is a record deal that the Athletics have given. To me, it's more important than the money is the fact that we're talking about a big change. To me, Luis Severino is a huge symbol for our organization. But with all that said, the Juan Soto signing a $765 million contract, it was crazy on the plane last night after Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football is actually in Texas here. Cowboys are at home in Arlington. Who are they playing? I'm actually going to the game. Who are they playing?
Nice. Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
All right, so their Monday Night Football is tonight, but Juan Soto kicked football and the Chiefs up against Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers off the map last night. I mean, a record deal. So before we get to Luis Severino, which is obviously massive for you were getting off the same plane. Yep. You're getting off the plane at about the same time we were. Your thoughts? A record deal in Major League Baseball and American sports.
Yeah, it was crazy because on the flight that I was on, the Wi-Fi actually wasn't working. So then once it started working when I landed, just the influx of, Twitter blowing up. And it's crazy. People talk about baseball kind of being on the low, but when it comes to like the offseason and these contracts, I mean, when this stuff, when Ohtani signs or Soto signs, it seems like the whole world just kind of, goes crazy over this stuff. So, we knew he was going to get a lot of money. I mean, every year it seems like the contracts are just getting bigger and bigger. But for him, I think the feeling was that he was going to stay in New York, whether it was going to be the Mets or the Yankees. And the fact that he ended up going to the Mets, I think, I mean, we all know what Steve Cohen's doing over there. He's not afraid to spend. But it is kind of crazy just the direction of these contracts, how far they've gone. I mean, if you would have told me somebody was going to get more than Shohei Ohtani last year, I would have thought you were crazy. But at the same time, it just, every year they just can be on bigger and bigger. So I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. But Juan Soto is one of the best hitters in the game, but it's just kind of crazy to wrap your mind around that. It's so close to $1 billion, and I think at some point we're probably going to be some guy's going to get $1 billion one day, and we're going to think it's crazy, but at the same time, it shouldn't be too much of a shock, just given how each year everything just keeps going up higher and higher.
Well, the way it will be judged is going to be fascinating because we can justify, and this really started when Shohei Ohtani was with the Angels. Right? We knew the Angels people, and they would tell us about, my God, it's amazing the amount of people are buying the merchandise and all the stuff that's coming overseas. And all of a sudden, Shohei Ohtani steps up to the plate at the Coliseum, and you see Japanese advertisements behind on the ribbon. And you're like, you can justify the return on investment because he's bringing in so much money. You're not paying Shohei Ohtani just to play baseball. You're paying Shohei Ohtani because you're doing deals with the Japanese airlines. You're doing deals with Japanese banks. You're bringing in all this money. Juan Soto is just a player. That's the one thing that I've always kind of said, like, how am I going to make – because ticket revenue in our sport is big, but it's not the end-all, be-all.
Right.
And they showed us that in COVID, where we played a 70-game season or 60-game season without fans because of the television money. So I've learned over the years and covering the other sports that the ticket money is great, but it's more icing on the cake than it is the cake because of all the different revenue streams. So how do you, and obviously you don't, Steve Cohen doesn't care, but for all these other teams, what would be the return on investment for a guy who's not bringing a bunch of international dollars?
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, like Ohtani's like one of one, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's no other player like that like you said will bring in that other revenue. Like Soto's, like I said, you can make a case that he's the best hitter in the game, but it's not nearly the impact, I guess, cultural impact, international impact, you could say, of if you were to bring Shohei Ohtani to your organization, and the amount of extra eyeballs that are going to be on your team as good as Soto is, it's not going to be the case. So I don't know. It's just weird times right now. The way these contracts are going now, I guess I don't know. It's a new way, but it's crazy. I saw a stat. He's making more than Jason Tatum and Patrick Mahomes combined, the two highest paid players in the other two sports. That's insane. I think of Patrick Mahomes, I'm like, wow, this is just crazy. I know we play more games in baseball. Obviously, it's more wear and tear, but the fact that he's making more combined than those two guys, it's hard to wrap your head around something like that.
Oh, I would argue he isn't the best hitter in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, he does an incredible job of getting on base and walking. Yeah. And now he's going to leave cushy Yankee Stadium and go play at Citi Field, which is a tougher environment to hit. I know traditionally when he was with the Nats, he hit well at Citi Field, but if you go out and have like 28 home runs, 90, what do you have? 109 RBIs last year?
Somewhere around there. Yeah. Let me check.
I mean, if you don't have monster numbers and if you have good numbers, but When you're making $51 million a year with a new team, the expectations are going to be insane. What are you going to say?
Oh, yeah, it's 109. He had 109.
Yeah, 109. Yeah. Not like he had 140. It's not like he had 50 jacks.
Yeah.
I mean, he walks a lot.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think he separates. He's not. I mean, you don't think he's even the best hitter in the game. I don't think he is either. But if he was, it's not like a huge separation from like the next guy. So.
He wasn't the best offensive player on his team. That was Aaron Judge.
Yeah, that's true. And he's not, like you said, he's not going to have.
And now he's making double of what Judge makes.
Yeah. That's that right there is crazy too. Like Aaron Judge, you think like, okay, him and Ohtani, you feel like those two are by far like, in terms of superstardom as well. Like, I think Judge brings more to the table in terms of like outside baseball. People know who Aaron Judge is, right? People still don't really know Juan Soto outside of baseball, really. I mean, he's a great player, but I don't think his level of superstardom is there. And I think that probably factors into when you're going to give a guy that type of money, you're expecting to get kind of more in return than maybe what Juan Soto brings. Not to bring him down, but it's not, the profile isn't as raised, and he is younger. So I don't know, maybe he gets better over these next 5 years. There's a chance that happens, but as of right now, it's like I said, it's crazy. But I mean, Steve Cohen, he's going to spend that money.
All right, a change for the Athletics amongst baseball. I can tell you, and you've seen this for years with us being here, every single time people walk by and they see that we're here, it shocks them, right? They cannot believe that. Because there's only so many people that actually come to the winter meetings that from a team standpoint. Now, usually the home team who's hosting the winter meetings will be here. I haven't seen any Texas Rangers people. I know the Cardinals always come. Do you know of anybody else, Commander, who's here other than the Cardinals and the A's?
Not that I know of, like team affiliated. No, like I saw Yes is here and SNY and NBC Sports Bay Area, but I think we might be the only ones with the Cardinals because we didn't see Marquee.
Yeah, Yes is not. Yes covers the Yankees. They're not the Yankees. I mean, we're an actual creation of a Major League Baseball team. The reason why I bring that up, and it is with Luis Severino, it's the showing that things are going to be different. And that's what we have represented. And to me, I had a lot of people who are so shocked about the contract for Luis Severino. And I wanted to put it this way, because we will get to the pitcher. But I was like, the human being is not the point here. It's the show of change. It's the show of everybody says, I believe it when I see it. Well, now you're seeing it. A record contract for $67 million. A lot of these former players, they went on like shows that they have on SiriusXM and said, who is going to sign to play in Sacramento? Already, you now have had a player sign in Sacramento. Well, you're going to see people sign with the Rays to play at the Yankees facility in Tampa. Talk about Luis Severino, his signing with the Athletics, and the symbol of it.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part is, for years, we always think about the A's and we're in winter meetings, and it's more like when we're talking about the A's, it's like, they're going to hang around and then wait to sign some guys who maybe are sticking around in the market kind of as a last resort, maybe sign with them for a year. And this time, I mean, they just went out and kind of set the market. I mean, they made one of the first big splashes. That Severino signing was kind of one of the bigger deals to start this winter, and we're not used to the A's being that type of team. So, I mean, they want to show that they're ready, to win now, and they want to help this young core that they have in place. And I mean, that was a big sign to see, Severino willing to come here. I mean, he talked about it. He believes in what this team is doing. Obviously, the money helps. I mean, anybody want to get that type of money, but he truly feels like this team is a team on the rise. Talking to his buddy Miguel Andujar, talked about the clubhouse atmosphere in there and how much he loved playing here and how exciting it is to be around these young guys. So, this team is willing to go out now and prove that, the way that they were doing things in the past isn't necessarily the way they're going to do things going forward. They're ready to kind of, moving forward, build a team. They feel like they have a team in place. Now they want to kind of add those finishing pieces to help this team kind of take that next step. And we've heard it, throughout the start of the offseason, they've been in on guys. I mean, you saw the Sean Manaea news. They were in on Sean Manaea. They talked to Walker Buehler. That didn't work out, but they've been trying to make a signing like this for a while now, and I don't think it stops at Severino. I think they're still going to make some more moves here to try to get better. But yes, it's important, to kind of change kind of the narrative that has been created here that, the team doesn't spend money. They don't care about winning. They care about winning. And now they feel that they're at a point where they can win, and they're going to do what they can to add to this team and get those pieces that they need to kind of take that next step that they feel like they can take.
So we were on the plane last night with an agent, and the agent was like shocked. Like, this was the Luis Severino was a shocker deal inside our game. It shocked a lot of people. Juan Soto then trumped all. Probably the big Luis Severino was the biggest shock so far of the baseball winter made by the A's. Now, obviously, trumped by Juan Soto.
Yeah.
But it was the biggest shock. By the way, last night you and I were checking into this hotel at the same time. Before you got there, one of the big driveline guys was there. Luis Severino last year and already this year at driveline, where he wanted to make a change in who he was as a pitcher. And the transformation of a thrower to a pitcher. And that really is what the A's are getting and what we saw in New York last year. And let's face it, as a young kid coming up in the Yankee system, just a fireballer, four-seam fastball slider, strike everybody out, but out in the fifth inning, he realized he wanted to pitch deep into games, which meant he had to get contact early, developed more of a cutter and a sinker so he could go in on lefties with the cutter, a sinker go in on righties, pitch more to contact so he could go deeper to games, kind of learned all that with driveline, and that's one of the reasons why you come to these events is I was talking to the driveline guys. We're both waiting to get our room last night, right? All the people of baseball are here. So the people that helped Luis Severino change his game plan, I was with one of the guys that did that. I was with that guy in line to get my room. But the biggest transformation that the A's are getting, I want you to talk about it, we're getting more the pitcher than the thrower now.
Yeah, it reminds me, I think there's a lot of parallels though to him and Frankie Montas when he was here. And, Frankie was a hard thrower. He'll tell you himself he was just trying to strike everybody out with that fastball. Then all of a sudden, Scott Emerson comes in and teaches him how to throw a splitter when spring training. And then all of a sudden, he's their number one starter. And he's a guy who is, making the case for a potential all-star bid every year. And one of the better pitchers in the game. That stretch he had with the A's before he was traded, he was, I think, one of the top, top 10, top 15, one of the better half pitchers in the game. And Severino kind of the same way, a young guy. He was throwing hard and kind of didn't know really how to attack hitters because he just had such a good fastball. He just wanted to use it all the time. But now he's learned how to pitch. He mentioned that a little bit in his press conference, how much he's grown since the time he first came up with the Yankees to now. So, yeah, the A's are getting a guy who's now learned how to pitch. He's not just throwing hard. And that's a great thing here is, they're getting a guy in his prime. He's 30 years old. It's not like they're getting him towards the back end of his career. He's still, you figure at least
dead in his prime.
Yeah. And he's just starting to kind of figure out who he is as a pitcher. And, having thrown, 180 innings or whatever last year, you could rely on him every fifth day to go out and give you a quality start. He's a bona fide, for them, he's going to be the bona fide number one, but for most teams, he's going to be in the top half of your rotation. He's a really good pitcher. And the fact that they were able to get him, it goes back to the point, the changing, a sign of that things are changing here. Before 2-3 years ago, around this time, you could have never imagined, a guy like this signing with the A's. But now, they see that things are changing, things are going in the right direction for this team. They want to be part of this. So that's cool to see. That's cool to see that this franchise is going in the right direction. Seeing all the other A's players on social media being excited about this. I know everyone kind of reposted that graphic, Severino signs with the A's. They're pumped to see that, this team is putting in the resources to try to compete next year. And, they got better without question adding Severino. They're going to be a much better team, not just on the field, but what he means to this young rotation coming in and being a leader for those guys. And then other reputation around the league, just talking to other writers who have covered Severino, players who have played with them, it's all great. They're positive. And that's one thing the A's always do as well, is bring in people who have good character and fit into this clubhouse well. They don't bring in guys with problems. You never hear of problems in this clubhouse. It's all a bunch of good guys in there. And he's going to be one of those veteran guys who can come in and kind of fill a leadership role as well as being your best pitcher on the staff.
All right. I got a group of names here. Rocco Baldelli. All right, quickly. Severino, Sears, Estes, Spence, Ginn, Beto, Boyle. I throw in Basso and Hogan Harris.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a lot of competition. I mean, you think about it the way it is right now. Really, Joey Estes and Mitch Spence. Obviously, JP Sears, he cemented himself, but I think Estes and Spence are those guys who you feel like are kind of secure, but at the same time, I mean, they might still be in competition as well. You never know. I mean, this team could go out and add another starter. I think that's still a possibility as well. But that's a good thing. You mentioned all those guys. They're all going to be here. They have a lot of depth, which you need. I mean, you're not going to get through a season with 5 starting pitchers. You're going to need a lot of depth. And the fact that they had Beto, Basso, Boyle, Hogan Harris, all these guys pitched some good games for them last year. And they all are pretty young and still have some potential ahead of them. There's going to be some good competition in spring. So that's what you want. And then Severino at the top, he's only going to, make this team better. And, their roster is just, it's getting better than it was the last few years, which is good to see.
All right, my friend, keep us updated on everything going on.
Thanks, Townie.
All right, the great Martín Gallegos with us here from the winter meetings. Rocco Baldelli, the Twins manager, is going to join us right now real quick, as it's always great to have him on. We had him last year in Nashville real quick, and we'll have him right now and get him out of here. One of the skippers in Major League Baseball. We always enjoyed him as a player and now as a manager. How are you?
Still getting settled in here in Dallas, but everything's going good. I'm got it back in Rhode Island for the off season, enjoying my family a little bit, so it's great.
Good. You know what? That's the whole thing. Like after a long season, you got to enjoy the holidays, got to enjoy the kids, because before you know it, for us, Arizona, you'll be heading right back to Florida, get it going once again.
It's almost time. It's almost time, but no, you have to take a moment. I mean, in our game, and we love the fact that our game is every day, and that all the people out there, all the fans, all the people that love our game, ourselves included, it's part of your daily life. You turn the TV on, the game's on, it's in the backdrop of everything that you do. And I really appreciate that. But when it ends, it's good to change your breathing pattern a little bit, take a little break, and enjoy the people around you.
When I think about you guys and the Twins, I always think about health. Now, every team, it's all about health, but keeping your stars healthy is such a key, because you have some guys are so dynamic.
You're right. Every team looks at their season and goes, if we stay relatively healthy, things are going to go well. Yes, that is the case. We probably think that a little more and have those types of conversations a little more than maybe even most, but we have a great core group of players. We have, everywhere you look on the field, the guys that can change the game, affect the game in a positive way for us. We have good pitching. We have guys with good stuff, a very solid bullpen. We have weapons and guys that we can work with. Keeping the majority of them on the field, we've done that well at certain points, and at other points, we've had to deal with them being off the field. We have the guys, though, and the types of players that I think can play late into the season, play into October, and win games. In 2023, we had a good year. We finished strong. We stayed relatively healthy, and we made a pretty good run. We want more than that, but it felt good. Last year, some things came apart, and that's hard. That's hard to look in the mirror and say, did we stay healthy? Not really. Did we compete and play as well as we could have, even with that health issue? No, we could have done a better job, and acknowledging that I think is important, but it's time to get back to work. We got a 2025 season, which I hope looks better than the previous 2 seasons that we just got through in front of us, and I think our guys are all set and ready to go.
I would love to see Buxton healthy for a full season, what that could be, because he is so dynamic, kind of like you were as a great athlete, super dynamic, and to keep him healthy for a full season, what that could be like.
Well, I know this is an overly friendly show, but you don't have to say things.
Come on, you were terrific back in the
like
day.
That. No, we don't know. But Buck is a very, very unique type of player and athlete. He's a baseball player, but in the body of one of those tremendous athletes. You could easily have seen him playing in the NFL for 10 years, like that type of athleticism and ability. That's what he is. When you give him a hug or pat him on the back, it's it's actual like concrete almost that he's that strong and well put together. He works exceptionally hard to put himself in the best spot to succeed. He's a dedicated, hardworking young man and a great teammate. He gives us everything we could ask for. And he played more games last year than I think maybe it might be one of the most games he's played in a season in his career. If, we don't set game goals and things like that. We want him out there as much as possible. And that's what he wants too. If he's out there playing, we are going to have success. He has been that important to our team going back. Defensively, incredible. Offensively, amazing. We need him out there. He knows it. He wants to be out there, and he's going to do everything he can to be there. But he is that good. You're right. He is that impactful to our team when we get him on the field.
Talk about impact, a guy that we got to see a lot. We got to see him grow up in this game is Carlos Correa with all the battles with the A's and the Astros. We know what kind of dynamic player he is, but I think probably more important, and you can speak to this, is the type of leader he is and how the guys in the clubhouse, even with those veterans in Houston, how much they look to him. There's something special. He's got that kind of it factor. Talk about what he does for you inside that clubhouse.
Well, Carlos is what you would probably identify with. He's just a winning player. He's got a winning personality. He attacks things head on. He's not a passive, things will work out kind of guy. He's very much very well planned out day every day, very focused. And he exudes that to people around him. He can be direct when he needs to be on the right topics. He handles a lot of things the way that a manager and a coaching staff would want one of their veteran players handling things. And on top of that, he's one of the best players in the game. He's still a tremendous shortstop. His at-bats last year were just special. Like if you go back and, we don't always go back and look to see what every player's season actually looked like. When he was out there and healthy and playing for us, he was one of the top players in the game. And, the at-bats really, I think they gave a good glimpse to a lot of our other players and some of our younger players, what a professional, high-quality at-bat looks like. And he brought that to the table to us every day at the top of the lineup.
As a former player, as a manager now, obviously it was shocking last year what Ohtani got, and now what we see with Juan Soto. When you hear 15 years, 765 with the potential up to 805 million, what are your thoughts?
When I went to bed last night, I thought we had him signed, and I had my suit. My suit was all hung up in my closet.
We were getting ready last night.
It was ready.
Yeah.
We were all ready. And then I woke up and I put my jumpsuit on instead of my actual suit. But no, it's honestly, I think it's in many ways, it's good for the game of baseball. It's good for the players themselves. He's one of the best hitters and players, makes him one of the best players that our game has seen in a very long time. I mean, the best of the best, they're very special. They're very unique. There's normally nothing like them. I think Ohtani is in that conversation. Judge is in that conversation. I think Soto's in that conversation too. They're just different than everybody else in existence. And what he's done at the plate is kind of mind-boggling, but he's shown that he can do it every single day. So I didn't know what he was going to get. I didn't spend too much time thinking about it. I knew it was going to be something astronomical, but he's earned the money, and now he can go out there and continue to prove himself on the field.
A's fans love to travel. You see it a lot on the road. I tell them all the time, Target Field is a jewel in our game. Minnesota is a great place to play. It's a phenomenal field. So for you, like Santa Claus will end on this, like what would you like to see the Twins have walking out of the winter meetings out of Dallas?
Walking out of the winter meetings. So you know what? I'll dress up as Santa, every once in a while and do things. But really, what I want
Rocco Claus.
Yeah. No. I just with the beard and all that. No. In reality, the winter meetings isn't necessarily about signing players for every team. It's about having conversations. It's about connecting with players. I'm actually going to go visit Royce Lewis and Trevor Larnach right now because they live and work out around here.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to go from this booth to an Uber to to go see those guys. So all I want is to leave that workout with those guys with a smile on their face and looking like they're in good shape and working hard. And if that's the case, then it's a small nugget in our favor and something that I really want to see.
And I hate to keep bringing it up, but you keep Lewis healthy. My God, what the numbers could be.
Yeah, what a talented young man. And a guy that's, I think, just scratching the surface of really, I mean that, you could say that about anybody, but in reality, I think he is truly just scratching what he can do and figuring out what he is going to do and become as a player, but all the ability in the world, and he's working hard to get where he needs to be.
Fight in the Central is going to be really interesting again this year. We still be like, the Central and the National League and the American League. No, the fight is real.
It was a battle. It was honestly like scratching and clawing for a win every single day when you showed up and played the in-division teams this year. And it happened fast, and the pitching that Kansas City and Detroit, and the Guardians are always quality in that regard. What you were facing every day was like, how are you gonna figure out and lock in and try to score enough runs against these teams, because you're facing shutdown type pitching. And I'd say we have guys that we send out there on the mound that are the same way. It was a very tough existence in the Central, but honestly, I think it kind of hones you and sharpens you up in a really good way. If you can figure out how to win games in your division's tough, you'll be ready for the rest of the league. And I think our division's doing that to everybody right now.
Well, have a great Christmas. Happy holidays. Always appreciate your time.
Merry Christmas.
And we'll be pulling for you next season.
I appreciate it very much. Thank
you.
We
got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com. If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the big games. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that's been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, pieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
JJ Bleday was on A's Cast Live and explained what changed for the A's during the second half of 2024.
I think it was just like putting up good series against those good teams. We might not have won every single series, against those winning teams, but just like splitting series and taking 2 out of 3 against some good teams. We just had that swagger that second half of the season. And guys like Law, guys like Rooker, Gela, they just, like, some of these guys just went on some tears to absolutely just get us going and get in that mindset of, hey, we can compete here. We can compete with the best of them. Let's just keep our head down and keep doing what we're doing, because things are going to turn around and we're going to get some dubs. That's what happened. And same with our pitching. Our pitching came in clutch in certain areas. Our bullpen came in clutch in certain areas. And we were able to put up runs. I felt like there was a 1 month where it just seemed like we were putting up 12 runs a game. And it was that handing off the baton to the next guy, having good quality at bats. Not even though it's not a home run or a double or we're slugging, we're able to kind of have that long at bat. Get that guy's pitch count up on the rubber and really get in their bullpen and expose them as best we can. And it comes with just the mindset of feeding off one another, and then it speaks to our coaching as well. I think Darren, Kotz, Crony, they did a good job at really getting us in that right mindset come spring training, and it just paid off.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. Bedding.com. Nest Bedding. Love where you sleep.
Good start.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
Brent Rooker appeared on A's Cast Live and shared how he's embraced his role as a leader in the A's clubhouse.
It's special, man. It's something I enjoy because I really like watching the young guys kind of come into their own and figure out how good they are and make improvements, both on the field and in their preparation as well, and their mental game as well, the way they think through things, the way that they think about themselves, the way they're able to keep their confidence up, and seeing those things kind of develop and then turn into the players that they're turning into is really cool. And for me to kind of be even a small part of that, I just kind of, I think a lot of the value that I have is the fact that I've played a bunch of different roles on teams. I've kind of done it all, right? I've been kind of the highly thought of prospect who's getting his first shot, and then I've kind of been the guy fighting for a roster spot, and then I've been the guy who's bounced back and forth between AAA and the big leagues, trying to kind of make the AAA success translate into the major leagues. And then I've been the everyday guy who is third and fourth, middle of the order every day. So I've kind of played every role you can possibly play on a team. And that allows me to kind of meet guys where they're at in terms of the points in their career and kind of be able to relate to them and empathize with what they're going through, what they're struggling with, and also kind of see what they're doing well and point those things after them. So I think that's something I enjoy doing, like I said, is talking guys through the situation and kind of where they're at in their career and helping them to hopefully kind of take that next step and become the next version of themselves.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
For 175 years, Comerica has thrived through every rise and fall. We've lived through triumphs and turmoil, witnessed every advance, and survived every setback. Through surety and uncertainty, we've stood the test of time by standing by our beliefs, our values, and our customers. Comerica, 175 years strong. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Become an A's insider today. Visit athletics.com/newsletter and sign up to receive the latest team highlights, up-to-date news, features, and more, all delivered free to your inbox. That's athletics.com/newsletter. Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
with more. If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the big games. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that's been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
JJ Bleday was on A's Cast Live and explained what changed for the A's during the second half of 2024.
I think it was just like putting up good series against those good teams. We might not have won every single series, against those winning teams, but just like splitting series and taking 2 out of 3 against some good teams. We just had that swagger that second half of the season, and guys like Law, guys like Rooker, Gela. I mean, they just like some of these guys just went on some tears to absolutely just get us going and get in that mindset of, hey, we can compete here. We can compete with the best of them. Let's just like keep our head down and keep doing what we're doing, because things are going to turn around and we're going to get some dubs. That's what happened. And same with our pitching. Our pitching came in clutch in certain areas. Our bullpen came in clutch in certain areas. And we were able to put up runs. Like I felt like there was that 1 month where it just seemed like we were putting up 12 runs a game. And it was that handing off the baton to the next guy, having good quality at bats. Even though it's not a home run or a double or we're slugging, we're able to kind of have that long at bat. Get that guy's pitch count up on the rubber and really get in their bullpen and expose them as best we can. And it comes with just the mindset of feeding off one another, and then it speaks to our coaching as well. I think Darren, Kotz, Crony, they did a good job at really getting us in that right mindset come spring training, and it just paid off.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
Hey, there's our guy Shelty. When's he coming on?
We're supposed to have him on, I want to say they told me Wednesday. They want us to tape it with him.
Yeah?
But, I mean, it's Derek Sheldon, who's our friend. He'll do it with us. I mean,
that's the manager of the what camera am I on? This one?
Yeah. This one.
That's the manager of the pit. So we just did the manager of the Minnesota Twins, Rocco Baldelli, who's here talking to our friend Bob Nightengale from the USA Today. Derek Shelton, the manager of the Pirates, is just right over here on the phone. This nice lady from New York who's a big Dallas Braden fan and is a big Mets fan came over and really just entertained us for a few minutes. So we're getting the sense that Met fan is like shocked that the first time ever Met fan has gotten over on Yankee fan. But they're not quite sure they really like this deal. So Ray Jensen, our own Ray Jensen from New Jersey, he's a big Mets fan. He's not thrilled about the deal. This lady, who is a big Mets fan, Dallas Braden fan also. Dallas, shout out to you wherever you are. Probably in LA somewhere today. She's not thrilled about it. Like, the Mets have just signed this record 15 years, $765 million deal, and it doesn't sound like they're all jazzed about it. So this is the first day, really? Yesterday was the first day, but I mean, the first day we're all here and we're all hanging out. Doesn't sound like Met fan is all that thrilled about the deal. It's interesting. And now joining us, he is my all-time favorite as a national writer. Been coming on all my shows for all these years. He's second to none. The great Bob Nightengale from the USA Today. Normally, we have you at the end of the meetings, but now the biggest news is at the start of the meetings. I don't know. What do you think? $765 million for one player for 15 years. How do you think this? First of all, when it hit, what'd you think?
Well, just free agency started, I said, okay, he might get a little bit over 500. He's not going to get 600, 550 tops. And then we just kept climbing and climbing. I thought people were on their minds. I mean, Ohtani pays for himself.
Correct.
He sells tickets, merchandising, advertising.
The
everything
international
else.
money is huge.
I mean, this guy doesn't sell tickets. They better win. I mean, it's so much money. It reminds me, same hotel, 2000, Alex Rodriguez signs with the Rangers. 10 years, $252 million. People went ballistic. So what happened with the Rangers? They lost 3 straight years. They fired the GM, and the owner went bankrupt. So, Steve Cohen's not going bankrupt. But I told the Yankee people, I think you're better off not having them. Sure, split that money around.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because when you think, it was Tom Hicks at the time, who was the owner of the Rangers, and it was Scott Boras was saying that he was going to be the focal point of this new ballpark and this area around the ballpark, which we now see Texas Live is not big as what Texas Live is great, but it's not what I think they envisioned this grand thing was going to be. And the whole thing was a disaster. Was this also the hotel that Mike Hampton signed with the Rockies when he was looking at the school systems?
Yeah, Mike Hampton was here and Manny Ramirez was here.
Wow.
So that I just looked it up the other day. And so this is like $750 million were spent at this hotel.
Yeah.
On 25 free agents. Now 765 was spent on 1 free agent.
That is just, it's crazy to think. So Mets fans, we talked to a couple Mets fans, and they're like, they don't know what to think. They're happy they got over on the Yankees.
But hey, 1-year deal, why not? So you're absolutely right. If things turn south or something at the worst, you're only tied to him for a few years. But no, it's like, what's $5-10 million. I mean, he was going to get at least 50 million, probably low 50s from somebody.
So now that you have a deal where Soto is off the board, you mentioned Teoscar Hernandez, Anthony Santander. What do you expect in the outfield market now? These guys got to be salivating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to force the Dodgers to up their offer for Teoscar Hernandez. Maybe instead of 70 million, make 75 or 80 million, total. They signed, Michael Conforto, got that out of the way.
Did that make any sense?
They need one in a left-handed bat just for 4th, 5th outfielder, that type of thing. remember they got rid of Kiermaier, and he was kind of
Yeah.
that guy. So same thing, 1-year contract, no big deal. So yeah, Santander will make out well. And I think the Yankees move quickly. I think they go get Christian Walker at first base from the Diamondbacks, trade for the third baseman, or sign a third baseman like Alex Bregman. I think they could trade for Cody Bellinger. For the Yankees, I think they're much better off not having Soto to get Judge out of center field. Put Judge back in right field where he belongs. Big man. I mean, you don't want to wear and tear that body and kind of ruin the offense he's got. So I think they could sign a Corbin Burns. Although I think Burns could easily end up in San Francisco. I think he ends up there. He's from St. Mary's College, lives in Phoenix, about 15 minutes from where I do, and a great guy. But I think the offers are close. He goes to the Giants. They're really about the only West Coast team that's trying to sign him.
When you think about the deals that don't get done, you may be so thankful. I got a feeling the Yankees, thank God this didn't happen. And as you said, you can take all of that 765 if you really wanted to commit. You can commit far less. And as you said, get Walker, get Bregman, get Burns, and now you're a much better team.
Yeah, they have so many holes. And we saw those guys in the World Series. I mean, they look terrible. And, the joke was they might have finished fourth in the National League West. National League was much stronger than the American League. But, when all the errors and all the, mistakes the Yankees were making, they were covering that with home runs. When they were hitting home runs, they looked very mediocre. So, no, I think they can fill a lot of gaps, particularly if you're going to spend $7 or $60 million, you got a lot of a wiggle room.
You think we're going to see a lot of signings coming up here now that the Soto thing is done?
I do. I think we're going to see that anyway. One thing that helps is the winter meetings is like a week later than normal. So I think people want to get this done before the Christmas holidays. After we leave here, it's like a couple of days left, and pretty much businesses start shutting down and stuff like that for the holidays. So no, I think we'll see a very active meetings here.
Because let's face it, last year in Nashville, it seemed painful for everybody, right? No one was signed. We were all waiting. It wasn't until at the end of the meetings that Soto got traded to New York. You had a lot of players going to Christmas with not having deals. A lot of front office people at Christmas not having the deals they want. There is something to be said about the peace of mind when you're celebrating the holidays and Christmas with the family and the kids and kind of have all your ducks in order versus, especially for players, to not be signed by Christmas. That is something that's miserable for them.
Yeah, just get rid of the uncertainty. The wives want to know, hey, where we're gonna live, hey, where the kids are going to go to school. How about spring training? Where we got to rent, that sort of thing. You're absolutely right. And I think it also helps that it was a nightmare for those guys who waited so long. First of all, most of them didn't get the money they thought they're going to get. Jordan Montgomery, stunk in Arizona. Snell was one of the worst pitchers in baseball the first half of the season in San Francisco. So by waiting, it didn't work. It's like, hey, you want the money, grab it now. Don't think it's going to be there in January or February, because usually it's not.
Okay, so let's look at the AL West right now. There's been some moves. You've seen the moves by the Angels. A's have made the moves. Waiting to see what Seattle does. Texas, who just recently won the World Series but lost their television contract. What do you think we're going to see play inside the AL West?
It'd be interesting with the Rangers on like Nate Eovaldi. Are they going to bring him back? If they don't bring him back, then I think they're in trouble. It's like, okay, they must not have any money. They're supposed to bring back Jordan Montgomery, and because the TV contract didn't.
So a sign for us to look at, if they don't bring Eovaldi back, things are really bad.
Yeah, they must have not have money. I mean, they underachieved last year. Overachieved 2 years ago, but they underachieved last year. They should be better. Angels will definitely be better. I mean, they're making the right moves and things like that. If Trout can ever stay healthy for even a half a year, or Rendon stay healthy for a quarter of a year, it's a big improvement. Seattle is interesting. It sounds like they're not going to spend money. I think they'd love to sit back and see if they, go get a Pete Alonso at first base. Granted, it's going to be expensive, so they probably have to make a trade instead. I think they're going to have to trade away a pitcher like a Louis Castillo and to get some offensive help.
Yeah, Seattle, it's been a shocker because you have such great starting pitching. How could you – this is a window for Jerry Dipoto. Your window of opportunity is so now, but it's like they've got television contract problems.
Yeah, they might have wasted their opportunity. I mean, that was easily the best starting rotation we sitting home last year. Probably the best starting rotation in baseball. And not to take advantage of that. I mean, if they made the playoffs, nobody wanted to face Seattle. So what's the odds of those guys all staying healthy again? They only used 7 starters last year. One guy made 1 start, so really just 6 starters, which is unheard of. A lot more like the Dodgers where everybody breaks down.
All right, so for you, let's end on this. We're going to end up probably seeing you. You're going to make the appearance on MLB Network?
Do that. I got a show, Foul Territory. Yep. So bounce around but yeah, hopefully we have a lot of activity. But yeah, absolutely right. I thought last year was kind of an embarrassment to baseball.
That was terrible.
I remember, Well, but you were kind of shaking.
What are we doing, Bob? What do we got going? We had nothing going on, and then all of a sudden we're leaving, and then there's the Soto trade.
Yeah. Like one move was made the whole time. It was terrible. So yeah, hopefully here. I wish in the old days Soto would have been here. I think now they'll wait for him to come to New York. But what's crazy about this, Chris, is this the same exact hotel as when A-Rod signed his deal and when Pujols signed his deal.
So
this hotel is famous
Something
now for
about
landmark
Dallas.
deals.
Also end on this real quickly. With all the stuff getting pretty much done for like Vegas, is that kind of settled everybody with the A's in Vegas inside the industry?
Yeah, MLB was never any doubts about it.
Yeah.
I think it's just it mostly came up in the Bay Area where people are so upset they're leaving. They're going to mess this up. And you talk to Manfred people, no, everything's fine. Everything's going according to plan. And I understand why people are upset. Like, how can they not spend that kind of money in Oakland? So, man, it should be a cool environment there. And I think people now are starting to realize it's going to happen. It's exciting. It'll be interesting, say, a year or two from now with the A's, what free agents say, you know what? I like to open that ballpark. I like to be the first guy in Vegas and see what it's like. So, as tough it is now to get guys to play, in the minor league ballpark for 3 years, I think it's going to be a whole lot easier in a couple of years saying, hey, I want to play in Vegas. It's going to be a fun time.
81 home games, no state taxes on that paycheck.
Exactly.
No, that's a big, big deal.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why these guys are getting signing bonuses, particularly the California guys. I mean, Ohtani's saving a whole lot of money by deferring 60 of that $70 million.
It's like 91% of the contract is deferred. It's something
97%,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you're going from, the high state taxes, as you know, in California,
Yeah.
and those taxes. Players realize that. I mean, that's why Texas has advantage and things like that. And no, Vegas is going to, people are going to want to play there for sure.
Yeah, I know all we do is talk about the players, but some of us know all about the state taxes, and some of us are like, yeah, cannot wait to not pay state taxes. My friend, you are the best. Thank you for all the years taking care of me on all the different shows. We follow you on Twitter. We promote whatever you got going. So thank you for always being a part of this. And when we start this season, we're going to be doing a lot of there's a lot of changes coming with us. We'll have to keep you updated on.
Yeah, I already made my hotel reservation in Sacramento. I will be at the first 3 games there.
You will be?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Austin, I got to tell you, we got
Cubs. Yeah, I'm set. I'm ready.
The great Bob Nightengale right here on A's Cast Live. We got more coming up next from Dallas.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
A's DH Brent Rooker sat down at Townie on A's Cast Live to discuss the positive vibe in the clubhouse during the second half of 2024.
Yeah, it's special. I think, even after that last game in Seattle, guys are already kind of itching to get to spring training and get back with this group that we have and continue the momentum that we built the last three or so months of the year. I think we've got a bunch of guys who are bought into what we're doing, a bunch of guys who are bought into each other, bought into themselves as individually as players. There's a lot of confidence both in one another as teammates and then in ourselves as well as individual players. So I think we all like what we have going. We could all kind of sense the things starting to change and starting to turn towards the end of the year and even kind of starting midway through the year. And we're just looking forward to getting back at it and keeping that momentum going.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the pennant race action and the upcoming NFL and college football seasons. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
A's general manager David Forst was on A's Cast Live and discussed building the A's roster heading into a new ballpark in West Sacramento.
What we do know about Sutter Health is that as it relates to the PCL, it's a pretty average ballpark. I mean, it's not Albuquerque, it's not Las Vegas. Colorado Springs isn't in the PCL anymore, but it's not Colorado Springs. So it has always played as a slight hitter's ballpark, but nothing compared to the rest of the PCL. Now, once we put Major League players in there and the Major League environment, we'll see. Right now, we're going to build a team that we think is the best in any environment. We knew the Coliseum well. We knew the kind of things that play here. It'll take us a little while at Sutter Health, but I think we should expect it to be pretty neutral until it proves otherwise.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
For 175 years, Comerica has thrived through every rise and fall. We've lived through triumphs and turmoil, witnessed every advance, and survived every setback. Through surety and uncertainty, we've stood the test of time by standing by our beliefs, our values, and our customers. Comerica Bank, 175 years strong. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
JJ Bleday joined Townie on A's Cast Live and discussed how Brent Rooker has become a leader for the club.
Rook's a good leader, like you said, he's been through the ups and downs. He's experienced a lot of different organizations and different teams, but yet he's excelled the last 2 years with the Oakland A's. So he's had tremendous success, and he's found out who he is, I think, in the big leagues. And it's been fun to lean on him and ask him questions about, body, diet, approach at the plate. What are you thinking mechanically and all these things? And, he's obviously got the body, the strength, and, the bat speed and the approach. And it's just cool to see him develop even more this year. I mean, he just again, he went on that tear, and he's just a big believer in trusting his process and trusting himself. And he works his tail off. And that's the type of guy we want. He was definitely a little bit more vocal this year because he could feel that veteran presence and feel that he was a vet. So he took it to heart and he went with it, and he was just a good role model for us to kind of mimic our games after.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
A's Cast Live continues from the winter meetings. Here's Chris Townsend.
My good friend Bob Nightengale, having him on the program is absolutely fabulous. And it's great having him on and then talking with him after about just the nuttiness. Remember, he was with us our last 3 games of the season last year. And I love how he just told me a story of some things that he talked about some of the writers, including another friend of ours, John Shea. Some things about you need to settle down on some of the things you're saying.
John Shea was here. He was asking, right, what was like around like 8 or so, John Shea was here, and he's asking where you were when Ray and I were setting up. He's like, where's Townie? I'm like, I don't know, getting ready, putting his makeup on.
Right up here, baby. I'm right up in the tower. Had to get the hair. Got to get the hair just right.
A few programming notes quickly. We're going to have another good friend. Well, we have Hembo coming up at 11. A lot of stuff to get into with Hembo. Dick Allen got in the Hall of Fame along with our good friend, the Cobra, Dave Parker.
We not only because Dave Parker was an A and a world champion with the A's, you grew up in Pittsburgh.
I didn't watch him play. I was too young.
I grew up in that era where Dave Parker was a star. Dave Parker was a star. Dave Parker was an older player by the time he got to the A's. I mean, when I was growing up, Dave Parker, and I think I've told this story before, that for me, the first year I really, I can remember like sports, watching sports with my dad and my brother, watching the World Series and the Super Bowl really was like 79. And 1979, I could have ended up being a Pittsburgh fan because if you think about 1979,
big year for the city.
Pirates are beating the Orioles, and then the Super Bowl would be the Rams against the Steelers.
Is that Vince Ferragamo?
The great Vince Ferragamo, Bay Area great, former Raider.
We're watching TB on postgame last night.
And then then it was 1980, and that would be the Royals against the Phillies. But that's when I first read. So, in my time of becoming a sports fan as a kid, you had Dave Parker was this larger-than-life great player. And he'd go on from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati. Dave Parker was a star, always in the All-Star game, a great personality. So I'm happy for the Cobra because in his time, he truly was one of the best players.
He swung a sledgehammer in the batters.
I mean, how intimidating was that? In Oakland, he's swinging a sledgehammer. Can you imagine a pitcher you're looking over? He's a monster of a man, and he's swinging a sledgehammer, and he's in a lineup with Canseco and McGuire. I mean, can you imagine pitching against those guys?
That'd be terrifying.
In 1989? My God.
Also a friend of the program. We had him on a couple years ago. I think we had the Cobra on, so very happy for him.
When they had the documentary, right?
Yeah, very happy for him. We got your good friend Jonny Gomes at 11:30. I saw Johnny.
Is he here?
Saw Johnny when we were walking and talked to him, said hi to him, told him he asked where you were, told him you'll be down, and then I texted him. He said I'll be over around 11:30.
All right.
Afternoon, We have Bobby Evans. I'll talk about him. Now he's back with the Giants.
Great to have Bobby Evans back in baseball, and good for him being back with the Giants. And Willie Adames is let's give some props to the San Francisco Giants. My old college teammate from CAA Sports, the great Mark O'Brien. He's a San Jose State Spartan, now a baseball agent, was the head coach at Santa Clara, was a coach with the Stanford Cardinal many times at the College World Series, but he helped get that deal done with the San Francisco Giants. Willie Adames is one of one last 4 years, 20 home runs, 70 RBIs the last 4 years as a shortstop. You got to give some props to Buster Posey and Zach Manassian. I'm used to Perry Manassian, his brother with the Angels, but Zach Manassian, new GM for the Giants, getting that deal done, that was huge.
Yeah, and I've been trying to see if we're getting any updates because there's rumors that they could maybe interested in Corbin Burns. I'm tired of people saying he's local. He grew up in Bakersfield. That is not Northern California.
They say he's local.
Someone, I forget who tweeted it, said,
first of all, they say he's from the L.A. area.
Bakersfield's not L.A. either.
Bakersfield is not
Central Valley.
It's on the other side of the grapevine. These people have no idea about geography.
You're closer to Tehachapi than you are to San Francisco.
California geography. You're not even sniffing Los Angeles.
So
you're closer to Ventura, which is Magic Mountain, which is on the. So Magic Mountain, but then again, there's some people in the Bay Area who are not very good at geography either. There's some people who live around the Bay who never leave the Bay. Remember when people made issues about how hot it's going to be in Sacramento? It's like it's as hot in Livermore as it is in Sacramento. In Livermore, yes, for some of you people who never leave the water, Livermore is the Bay Area.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to make sure we promoted this because we did.
Have we not promoted tickets yet?
2025.
Did Ray bring me a muffin?
2025 A's spring training single game tickets are on sale now. Don't forget the first game's Sunday, February 23rd against the Colorado Rockies at Ho-Ho-Cum Stadium. We're going to effort to have our friend Joe Pun on, who runs the stadium down there in Mesa. But tickets on sale, athletics.com/spring if you want to get them. Athletics.com/spring for every game. The Rockies, Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Brewers. Dodgers made some moves. Blake Treinen's back 2 years, I think $23 million.
Is that this morning?
That was last night on the plane right after Soto. Or it was either before or after Soto. And then they made a kind of a interesting move and bringing in Giant great Michael Conforto for 1 year, $17 million. Because I guess he showed a lot with the Giants that you need to give him $17 million again.
Kind of crazy.
So who knows? Are they
be a fourth or fifth outfielder? You got $17 million.
Especially if they bring back Teoscar Hernandez. So we'll see what they do. But those are some of the moves that the Dodgers made. So yeah, if you want to get your spring training tickets, athletics.com/spring. They're on sale now.
How would you not? It doesn't get any better than spring training. Being down there at Ho-Ho-Cam, 75 degrees, Arizona weather. You got all the golf. You got everything you want down there. And we have found sneaky some really good restaurants in downtown Mesa. We've done a much better job of exploring Mesa. And downtown Mesa's got some pretty good spots.
Well, you and Martín are going to do your quest for the best burrito, right? So I've only been to the few places in Mesa that we've gone to, and they're not they're fine. There's a nice brewery in Mesa that we've been to, like Ray Dallaire and I went to once. It was fine, so I'm always looking for a nice place to eat. Probably have a nice beer menu. It'd be nice to have.
So Blake Treinen's re-signed.
Conforto's
signed.
Conforto's back. I don't think
we got Juan Soto is signed. Anything else we got rolling since we got off the plane?
I don't think so. Ray hasn't had to jump on the headset just yet.
Where's our breaking news correspondent, the Karate Kid, Ray Jensen? Oh, he doesn't have a headset.
Yeah,
anymore.
It's over there. Yeah, he might have to jump back and forth if he wants to come on. But yeah, I don't see
Ray,
anything.
do you got anything from Twitter? Is anything? No,
nothing. That's why we pay him the big bucks.
I'm super excited to go to Monday Night Football tonight.
Bengals, Cowboys. Joe Burrow versus Cooper Rush.
Go to Jerry World. Really not about the football game. It's about the experience, because traveling around all the different stadiums with the Raiders, when I worked for the Raiders, we never did the Cowboys. We never played the Cowboys while I was there.
So it's your first. You've been to Texas Live,
I
right?
did Raiders pre and post Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. But my traveling full time with the Raiders, I did Raider Cowboy games. I just always did them from the Bay Area. I never did when I was traveling around with the Raiders. I never did a game at Cowboy Stadium. This will be my first time. I've been to most of the stadiums, but we never played the Cowboys in Dallas during my time.
Oh, just saw the great Matty Weiss, who runs our clubhouse, just sneak by.
So I'm fired up for a little Monday Night Football tonight.
It should be I want to say it's going to be a good game, but people still think Cincinnati's alive somehow. They're 4-8. But you get to see Burrow, Chase, Higgins.
I'm really not going there for the game. I'm going for the experience, Cody.
Yeah, more. I mean, I would too. You've been to Texas Live already before, right?
I've been to Tech.
That's a great.
I got the great Raymond Fosse.
I remember that. That's right.
I may be the only person that could talk Ray Fosse out of the ballpark. We had a doubleheader in Texas, and I talked Ray Fosse in between games. Foss, we got to go get barbecue. Come on, let's go get lunch. Because Ray was an old school guy, and at that point, Ray was probably around 71, 72 years old. So getting Ray Fosse to leave the actual yard, I got Ray Fosse. This was when the new ballpark was being built. We were still playing at the outdoor park. And I got Ray to walk over to Texas Live. It's a Humphreys is the barbecue place in there. I think it's like Humphreys. But I got him to go
take your
over
word for it.
And got Ray to do barbecue at Texas Live. Texas Live, which is not far, right? I mean, Arlington is not too far from here.
I looked for you because I wanted to see. I was curious. It's like 20 minutes away.
Yeah, it's not that far. Which, it's funny. It's like kind of what the Bay Area is going to be like. Because everybody thinks that's the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys and the Texas Rangers do not play in Dallas. Only the Mavericks and the Stars play here.
Yeah, correct.
The Cowboys and the Rangers, they play in Arlington, which is 20-something minutes away.
And they're right across.
It's a completely different city. And the Bay Area is going to be worse because when people think, oh, everything's in San Francisco, Oakland now has 0 teams. San Francisco has 2, and the other 2 teams are in the South Bay. The Niners and the Sharks are nowhere near San Francisco.
That's correct. Well, we know that better than anybody. It's right there.
Correct.
It's right in our backyard.
It has changed with the A's leaving. It has changed it has changed the dynamic of the way the Bay Area is in sports. San Jose really is its own market.
It should be, but we get lumped into, like you say, because we live there. We get lumped into Oakland and San Francisco when San Jose is the largest city.
San Jose has its own, when it comes to ratings, it has its own Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, and we're the largest city in the Bay Area, but people don't realize that. They still think it's San Francisco.
Well, you're saying Corbin Burns is from Los Angeles and he's from Bakersfield. So, I mean, who knows what people know with geography.
I forget who tweeted it, but someone said that he's from he's from the Northern California area, and it's like Bakersfield is not Northern California. Not even close.
Technically, Northern California isn't Northern California. Bay Area really is, if you look at the map, Central California.
Yeah, Northern California, when I think it was like Eureka, Humboldt County, like going up that way, Redding. Like that.
You're on your way to Oregon is really Northern California.
I went through that whole area when I went up to Oregon after the season ended. Like that's Northern California.
All right. Something I got into Bob with, and it pertains to Luis Severino. Mike Crowley is the former president of the A's. And I think I've told this story before. We were in Tokyo, Japan, at the Tokyo Dome in 2012. Mike Crowley and I are on the bus together. It's just the two of us, and we're waiting for everybody. And we were there for like a long time, and I don't remember why it was just us. And Mike Crowley was a really good guy and just talked about a lot of different things. He's a big Notre Dame guy. Everybody in his family's gone to Notre Dame. We talked Notre Dame. We talked a lot of different things. And I've had this theory for a long time, dating back to 2012, to get away from these stupid contracts like you just saw with Juan Soto, like you saw with Alex Rodriguez, like you saw with Albert Pujols. These deals don't age well. Sounds good at the winter meetings, but they do not age well. How about the Mike Hampton deal? The deals just were cut here. The Manny Ramirez deal, the Mike Hampton deal, all done in this hotel.
Bearing the lead with Hampton. He picked it because of the school district. School district is why he went there.
So I said to him, why not just give somebody an extreme amount of money. Now, extreme in 2012, if I remember correctly, I said to him was like $40 million. Why don't you just give a guy $40 million a year for like 1 or 2 years? And then he's off the books.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of risk if you overpay in the short term. You have the guy 1, 2, maybe 3 years, then he's gone and he's off the books. I don't really remember what Mike, I remember he wasn't having it because he's a bean counter. But that was my idea back then. Like, go overpay for somebody for 2 years. If he wants, remember this is 2012. If he wants 10 a year, give him 14. Just don't give it to him for 5 years. Give it to him for 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, what I was thinking in 2012 is really like what David Stearns is doing, what David Forst is doing, because no one saw Frankie Montas after the year he had last year. And if you look at the numbers, and I could actually bring it up for you because I took a picture of it, Frankie Montas, his deal that he signed with the New York Mets blew people away.
Was it 2 for 34? Right, Ray? 2 for 34 for Frankie Montas. Okay, Ray's our Mets guy. So, yeah, and the year was not great pitching for the Reds and Brewers.
Okay. So Frankie Montas with the A's had a 3.70 ERA. Shout out the pitching doctor, Scott Emerson. Dr. Emo, as we like to call him. That's in 537 2/3 innings. Since leaving the A's, that's Yankees, Reds, and Twins, correct? I mean, Yankees, Reds, Brewers.
Correct.
His ERA is 5.12 in only 191 2/3 innings. So literally, Frankie with the A's was a competitive, gave you innings, legit major league pitcher. Leaves the A's, he's been terrible. So the point is, David Stearns of the Mets, now running their franchise, overpaid Frankie Montas, but he only had to give him 2 years.
Yeah.
Some people think we overpaid Luis Severino at $67 million. But we really only had to give him 2 years with a player option for a third. So after 2 years, he can bolt if he's not happy with what's going on. Clay Holmes, you could say, with the Mets, overpaid. What he got 2 years.
Yeah, and he's going to be a starter now. And then he might go back to being a reliever, but they plan on being a starter.
So it goes back to what I was thinking a long time ago. I rather overpay, and if someone says I overpay, like we overpaid Luis Severino, did we really? We're only committed to him really for 2 years. Could be 3. Is that really a bad thing? I rather overpay by a few $1 million a year and have to give you less time. I don't want someone for 5 years. I don't want someone 6, 7, 8 years. God forbid 15. I rather overpay for a short amount of time. I have less risk. I rather overpay for less risk. And I think it's smart. I think it's really smart. And also, what are we seeing? What is the hot play now in baseball? Well, we know that all these players, pitchers-wise, they come into the league as starters, right? Everybody, we draft these guys as starters. You put them in the minor leagues. They're starters, can eventually move them to relievers. But kind of like the chic thing right now is like what we saw with Derek Lowe years ago. Wow, that's an old school reference.
Wow, you're really going back.
But whether it's Ronaldo Lopez, King did it with the Padres, Clay Holmes now will with the Mets, make him a reliever back at. These guys are all career starters that turned into relievers.
Seth Lugo.
Hicks with the Giants.
Lugo.
Padres then cashed in on it with the Royals. Take a guy that's been in the bullpen, make him a starter, give him a shot at that. And if worse comes to worse, I put him back in the bullpen. It's kind of like the smart thing to do. I got 2 years. I give the guy a shot at starter. hope to get as many innings as possible. And if he fails as a starter, I put him in the bullpen. So I may overpay for 2 years, but I'm taking less risk because he's got multiple things that I know. We'll figure out something with him. Versus you want to pay Mike Hampton for 7 years?
Yeah, I think Eno had the art, and we're going to have Eno on tomorrow. Eno I had an article a couple weeks ago on The Athletic about teams looking at guys from relievers and making them starters. And I think it's a good point. I think your point is
Remember,
right.
They always were starters.
Yeah.
The majority of all players drafted, you get drafted as a starter. We will draft some closers out of college, but the majority of pitchers that are drafted, they are starters. Now, why are they not starting in the minor leagues? Well, probably because they aren't good enough and they get put in the bullpen. But all guys are drafted as starters.
So I think
most guys that end up getting to the big leagues at some point, they were starters. So they may be pitching out of the bullpen in Major League Baseball, but they traditionally have been a starter.
Yeah, and I think the Clay Holmes thing is interesting. It's fascinating that they want him to be a starter, but you're right. You just move him into being the setup guy for Edwin Diaz, who you already have he was not lights out last year, but his career, he's been a lights out closer. Holmes was very good for the Yankees up until last year, so you can just throw him right in if he struggles as a starter.
It really is a smart way to go about your business. Is you overpay a little bit, but once again, you're only paying for 2 years, and there's not a whole lot of risk. And if you want to get out of it, I mean, you can dump guys when you only sign guys to 1-2 years. This, I think it's a really smart strategy because the days of signing like what we have seen with Coles, the day of signing a 7-8 year contract for a starting pitcher, I'd rather go get a guy, overpay for 2-3 years like we did with Severino and not have a long commitment. I have less risk. And as we know about front offices, they do not want to take risks.
Yeah, that's true.
You take a lot of risk when you got Paul Hembekides at ESPN. I mean, that management knows that it is a wild card. Oh, look at the backdrop. Oh, look at that today. Last time we had him on, he had like a tank top. He looked like he was at the Jersey Shore. Now he is styling and profiling New York in the background. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the stars of ESPN, the great Paul Hembekides. Hembo, a very interesting day. The Mets got over on the Yankees. What is it like in NYC this morning?
It's wild. Behind me, you see the Brooklyn Bridge, which symbolizes, of course, this great city. And it's a city now where there's a new sheriff in town. That sheriff's name is Steve Cohen. And that sheriff is the reason why George Steinbrenner is rolling over in his grave this morning. Because something happened overnight that has never happened before. And something happened overnight that Mets fans probably never thought that they would ever see in their lifetime. And that was the Mets stealing one away from them. Not only is Juan Soto a Met, now I think Juan Soto is one of the best left-handed hitters of all time, one of the great hitters of the 21st century, a player who is very likely to earn every penny of that contract because I believe it's a generational bat. However, the fact that this is a former Yankee, a one-year proof of concept hitting right in front of Aaron Judge didn't matter enough to him to stay. And the fact that you stole him out from under the Yankees and left them at the altar, for me and for Mets fans that I've talked to this morning, that's just as much a reason for happiness today. Not just that we got him, but the fact that they didn't. That's how Mets fans are feeling this morning.
You know what? I like it. As sports fans, this is basically screw you, big brother. This is a screw you deal, and that's all that matters.
That's right. I mean, that's honestly right. Truthfully, the Mets have operated in the Yankee shadow for 60 years. And not only have their results been super uneven and largely obscured by the Yankees, but they've always been considered secondary by the entire national commentariat and by people in this city. But you don't sign Juan Soto merely to build a good baseball team. You sign Juan Soto and you give him $765 million because you believe that you can build a baseball empire. I believe that Juan Soto is an historically great player, not a player perhaps of Shohei Ohtani's stature, of course, who does things we've never seen before, but there is no list of players in baseball history that have been as good as young as Juan Soto that haven't wound up in the Hall of Fame. And so Steve Cohen, who's a 20-something billionaire and is also a diehard Mets fan, to have the opportunity to sign a generational player and to steal him away from the Yankees, this has to be one of the great days in the history of the franchise. And I believe that there's a meaningful chance that Juan Soto is going to be remembered as the greatest position player that they have ever had. Full stop. Tom Seaver's the greatest player in the history of the Mets.
Yeah.
At any position. And Juan Soto is going to have to be extraordinary to surpass him. It was, nearly 200 wins and 2,500 strikeouts with the Mets. But Juan Soto is going to be the best position player the Mets have ever had. That's inclusive of Gary Carter, of Mike Piazza, of Darryl Strawberry, of Carlos Beltran, of David Wright. I love the history of this stuff, as you well know. And should he wind up spending the next 15 years of his career with the Mets on his current trajectory, he's going to go into the Baseball Hall of Fame wearing a Mets hat on his plaque, and that is going to bring endless joy to fans of Mets Nation.
If I was a Yankee fan, I'd feel like I dodged a bullet.
Tell me why.
Because this is going to age horribly.
Tell me why.
Because I've seen history, and history will repeat itself. He's not a great athlete. He doesn't throw well, doesn't run well. And when you're getting 26 home runs, 80-something RBIs, and you're telling me how much he walks, I'm not going to be impressed.
What will be the first year of the contract for which you think the Mets will regret it? Year what?
Oh, I think it'll be very quick.
Within the first 5 years?
Oh, yeah.
Huh. So you don't view Juan Soto through the same lens as I do. You don't believe him to be a historically great hitter. See, I think he's Willie McCovey. I think he's Mel Ott. I think he's a player of that stature. I think he's a player of extraordinary significance whose greatest skill, his ability to control the strike zone, is the most replicable one, is the most predictive one. And while I will acknowledge that he's not a great athlete, a great runner, a great fielder, a great anything except hitter, the only thing really worth paying for in today's game is what you do.
Let me ask you this. What's the number one thing you do in baseball? There's two things you do in baseball. There's the two most important things in all of baseball.
As a pitcher, it's getting outs, and as a hitter, it's avoiding them.
It's scoring runs and preventing runs, right? Offense and defense. That's the two things you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Who touched home plate more than any human being in the history of the world?
Ricky Henderson.
The great Ricky Henderson. I don't understand how Juan Soto gets on first base as much as he does and doesn't score as much as he should.
Because he lumbers around the bases.
So that's at 26, 25 in the peak of his athletic career.
Right.
To me, the thing about Shohei Ohtani, I'm a business guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shohei Ohtani, as great as his year was and as great as the Dodgers and everything, Hembo, what makes his contract okay for me is the fact that you sell him. And they're already making over $100 million a year just off him and international money he pays for himself. I don't see any big corporate Dominican companies coming in and helping the Mets. Now, I get it. He's a symbol. It's the screw you, Yankees, Steve Cohen. It's the symbol. But if we're truly talking baseball, I don't know how his numbers and him as a player, if we're really being honest, you're living up to $51 million a year. I think very early in the contract, if we're just looking at numbers, you'll be like, is he that great? What do you got to pay to be a 51 million? I can justify, even if Ohtani's 50-50, that's great and everything, but I can justify his contract from what he makes me. The return on investment is huge. I don't know what the return on investment is for Juan Soto.
Here's the thing.
From season tickets.
Right. My learn from this news is not that Juan Soto is going to be overpaid. It's that Ohtani and Harper and the other great players atop of baseball's food chain are underpaid. This has long been my theory. And I'm going to tease this out and see if you pick up what I'm putting down. So in the NFL, there's a salary cap. And so the highest paid players are just the quarterbacks that are up next. But there is no hierarchy there. It's whoever is next. Mahomes and Allen and Burrow and Lamar, they're the best ones. But they're paid the same as the guys who were in tier 2 and tier 3 because of the salary cap. In the NBA, if you can dribble the basketball up the floor without it going out of bounds off of your foot, you can become a max player, right? That's what the NBA does. They reward they reward anybody that can do that successfully. But LeBron James, during his prime, was paid the same amount as any max player on the Grizzlies or the Hornets or anybody else, right? That's what the NBA structure is. Baseball is the only uncapped league. And so for the longest time, players at the top of baseball's hierarchy have earned more than tier 2 and tier 3 players, but it's been proportional. I happen to believe, based on how much teams are actually willing to pay for, per war, you might say, on the open market, that this is actually more in line with what someone of Juan Soto's caliber is actually worth. Fangraphs estimates that last year he produced $65 million in value. Since the COVID year, he has averaged $49 million per season in generated value. It is my belief that if you're at the very top of the food chain, you're one of these handful of players at the top of a hierarchy, you are disproportionately valuable because your skill is so extraordinary and so rare. I find Juan Soto to be a player of that ilk, and I believe that what the Mets are paying him is more approximating what he deserves and players like him deserve, and players that have been paid $30, $35, $40 million a year, while exorbitantly rich, are still being paid less than what they probably deserve because we think of things so gradually in terms of the stratification of any market.
Hembo's a capitalist.
Great country, this America.
See, me, I'm Russia. I'm a socialist when it comes to baseball. I want a salary cap because I don't think these guys are worth. Because my whole thing is, as we know, and I tried to explain this, the whole Boris, the tide raises all boats is a load of crap. We're seeing so many different teams lower their payroll right now. Now, right. Just because Juan Soto gets this, by the way, the other 98 to 97% of the players will not be affected by this contract whatsoever. Right. And we're still trying to figure out how to nickel and dime Corbin Burns. The Brewers are nickel and diming Corbin Burns in arbitration, for God's sake. Right. The rest of baseball. So that's why, to me, I'd like to tell the players, you are correct. You're talking about the stars of stars. I would like to argue to the players, by the way, with the salary cap, because of a floor, you all would make more. Because as you said, the guy who dribbles the basketball off his foot, he's making millions being the 10th guy down on the bench, right? So the socialist way in sports, everybody gets paid more. In baseball, you got a system where they're setting it up for Trout, Betts, the 300 million guys, now the 700 million guys, to where the bottom feeders, you could be making way more if you're in a different system.
Yeah, there is a massive economic disparity in baseball, and it has never been more pronounced than it is now. The teams at the very top of the payroll food chain, you might say, are now disproportionately outspending the middle teams and the bottom teams, and that is, in my judgment at least, definitively unhealthy. And it's only going to get worse until the next CBA. Not only do we need a salary cap floor, which I entirely agree with you, is needed and obviously so, but now teams are going to continue to take advantage of this loophole by being able to backload and defer so much money in contracts. The Dodgers have deferred $1 billion. That's ludicrous. The fact that it's even allowed enrages me. And teams like yours, when they sign a $67 million player, Luis Severino, and we celebrate for it, that's the best they can do. But when you consider what Steve Cohen just did, that's literally less than 10%. 10% of what Juan Soto is going to command. And while I do believe that some owners at the bottom of the food chain don't spend enough and cry poor too often, I also happen to think that Major League Baseball needs to do a better job in its next CBA of ensuring that we can keep all these teams between the 20-yard lines. And right now, we're not doing that at all. Right now, we're not doing that at all. Bud Selig got a lot of things wrong. But one thing that he got right was the rev share. And it worked for a long, long time. But right now, it's sort of spinning out of control. Teams are willing to disproportionately pay for high-priced free agents. And I think it's going to leave a lot of teams at the bottom third of that payroll structure, up a creek without a paddle, where you have to nail it in scouting and player dev. And if you don't, you're most definitely not going to have much of a chance at high-level success.
All right, so Yankee fan is suffering, and in my world, since I hate the Yankees, I love it. Suffer, baby, suffer. Luis Severino. See, when we talk about symbols, obviously Juan Soto is a symbol for the Mets over the Yankees. It's a big-time symbol. The money, whatever it is, it's a symbol to Mets fans. We got over the Yankees, and it's a battle in this town. I think for Luis Severino, it was a symbol for us to sign that contract, maybe give him a little more because he's got to come play in a AAA ballpark. But it was a symbol for all of baseball to say there is change with the A's. It's going to be different. When you heard record contract given out by the A's to Luis Severino, what was your first thoughts?
They can win. At least they think they can win. The A's think they can win this year. The A's believe that they can make the playoffs in 2025. This was not performative. This was not from the perspective of public relations. Oh, look how much money we spent. This was, we believe that we have a playoff lineup. Let's accompany it with a playoff pitching staff. There are bats in your lineup, dude. And even I, on this East Coast in my ivory tower here in New York City, know that you've got some studs swinging it in that lineup. And last year, you just did not have enough front-end starting pitching, even to get you to the bullpen to be able to sort of bridge that gap. Luis Severino is a good pitcher. Even if all he is a league average arm that gives you 180 innings with a 100 ERA plus, that's going to provide you enormous value because you're going to be able to out-hit a majority of teams next season. That was my first reaction. Look, the A's are a smart team. The A's have astute people like you and I in their front office that know exactly when to pounce. They've gotten that right historically on many occasions. They think they can win next year, and so do I. I think the A's are going to be playing meaningful baseball games in the month of September because they have good young bats, and they're going to be able to pitch enough to make it happen. That's what I think.
Yeah, and for people who go, is Hembo always right? I believe you were the man who came on this program and told us the World Series was not going to be a fair fight. And last time I checked, you were right. You predicted that thing, and you were right. Now, if I am like, let's just say the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Blue Jays, whoever feels like they got left out of Juan Soto, and you still got Santander out there, you got Bregman out there, you got the Polar Bear, Christian Walker. Is there a way for some of these teams to go out there and make some signings and make people say, you know what, we did have a good offseason?
Yeah, the answer is yes, but I will say that I think the most astute teams this offseason are probably going to be the ones that, we'll call it, very lightly touch the free agent market and major in the trade market because the prices are out of control right now, especially for pitchers. I mean, the amount of money that certain pitchers have gotten this offseason already honestly kind of blow me away. I'm really surprised at some of the dollar figures that I've seen. So I think if you're a team, we'll call it operating in the mid-market, your team between 5 and 25 in terms of what you expect them to spend, I think the smartest ones are going to abstain, truthfully, because I think the prices are out of control. This is not going to be an offseason in which you're going to extract much value from free agency. But I want to answer your question. Alex Bregman's someone that I think I'd pay 100 cents on the dollar to because I trust his ability to control the strike zone. Christian Walker is a first baseman that I really like because it's a profile that is like sort of a diet version of Pete Alonso, and you're going to have to only probably pay 40 or 50% of that. Pete Alonso is actually a player that I do think is worth investing in because he's kind of become like a running back in football, or just because he plays first base, we act like the stats that he's producing at that position doesn't matter, where I believe that if you're going to hit 35 or 40 in any given season, I don't care what position you're playing or how much negative defense you're providing me at first base. There's value to be had there. And on the pitching market, the two guys I like a lot are Nathan Eovaldi, who I think is probably worth a 3-year deal in the $20 to $25 million range. To me, he still profiles as a 2. And I honestly like Max Fried as much as I like Corbin Burns, who I think is going to be severely overpaid in this market. Corbin Burns right now has declining stuff. No one's talking about it. I think the numbers are loud. And I think for, we'll call it 75% as much, you can get Corbin Burns-like numbers from Max Fried and not have to pay nearly as much money.
So whoever breaks the bank for Corbin Burns, you're going to go, not a good deal.
His strikeout rate has declined in each of the last 4 seasons, as has his stuff plus. Last year, his stuff plus was 120. That's a stat for which 100 is average. He's a good pitcher. He's not a great one. You're paying for a 1 who's going to be a 3 by the end of the deal, who's probably going to be a 2 for the majority of his contract. To me, the best comp is Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright in his 30s was a good pitcher, but he wasn't a great one. It was like something like 22 WAR. That's who Corbin Burns is to me, because he has a lot of life on his stuff. He's still great in contact management, and he still does a good job at stacking up innings. But for $250 million, which is what everyone's telling me he's going to cost, he is definitively not worth that unless some team has found a way to sort of recapture his stuff in Milwaukee in 2020 and 2021 when he was genuinely one of the 5 best pitchers on the planet.
Santander end up in New York?
Probably. I think he's a natural pivot for the Yankees, who I think would have probably signed Willy Adames had the Juan Soto news broke 2 or 3 days sooner. I think the Yankees would sign Alex Bregman if Brian Cashman wasn't still so much in his feelings about the 2017 postseason when the Astros were stealing signs.
You got to get over it.
I just don't think he'll ever get over it, and I don't think he can do it. I just don't think he can.
Really?
To me, the Yankees, look, Brian Cashman is going to, that's going to be on his gravestone. He's going to be, we would have won the 2017 championship if it weren't for the freaking Astros banging trash cans. He will never get over it, and he will not sign Alex Bregman. I think you're going to see the Yankees pivot to Max Fried, Anthony Santander, and Christian Walker. I wouldn't be stunned if they signed Pete Alonso, but to me, those are the names that the Yankees have probably circled as plan Bs and Cs for Juan Soto, whom I firmly believe they thought they were bringing back.
Do we have breaking news? We got the Hall of Fame guys. I know Dick Allen was someone you were big on getting into the Hall of Fame, and the guy that we were big on, former 8 Dave Parker.
Both deserving candidates as far as I'm concerned. Dave Parker is someone who makes the Hall of Fame better. He's not someone I would have, stood on my soapbox and screamed about, but I'm happy for him and his family. Yeah. Dick Allen, the fact that he didn't get to see that in his lifetime is a great injustice. It is my belief that Dick Allen is the best hitter outside the Hall of Fame, not connected to scandal. He's that good. He was that good. His prime was extraordinary, and his batting line and all the attributes of it during his prime were off the charts in comparison to his peers, and his peers were some of the greatest hitters the game has ever known. His numbers over a 9-10 year stretch compared favorably to McCovey and Henry Aaron and Pete Rose and Joe Morgan and any number of other studs during that time period in baseball. It's only a shame that he wasn't there to see it. But Dick Allen, I'm so grateful and thankful that he'll be in the Hall of Fame this year because he is one of the most deserving candidates. And he has been, in my opinion, unjustly left out for many, many years.
But he was mean.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The writers of that era were ridiculously unfair to Dick Allen, who was a complete horses behind, in fairness. But that's not what you're voting on. That's not what you're voting on. Dick Allen was objectively one of the greatest hitters in the history of baseball, even though writers did not like him, which of course is completely immaterial when it comes to any of this, much like Curt Schilling's candidacy, in my opinion, for different reasons. I think it's one of those things that the writers have gotten wrong over the course of time.
Your Philadelphia Phillies, we talked a lot about them on this show, about how good they were. We thought they were going to be a primetime player in the postseason, if not the team that we didn't, through a lot of the baseball season, think the Dodgers were the best team. The Dodgers had injuries. Mookie Betts was out. They had issues. And we thought it was the Phillies. What do you see your Phillies? It was a bomb we've heard, maybe traded. Like what do you think the Phillies are going to do while they're here in Dallas for the winter meetings?
So the Phillies are much likelier to improve via the trade market than they are free agency, which is, as I mentioned before, a strategy that I would endorse. I think that's the shrewd way to approach this offseason. The players that I think you are likeliest to see dealt or at least floated are as follows. Ranger Suarez, who I think teams around the sport love and the Phillies merely like. I could see them shopping him around. Alec Bohm, who was an all-star in the first half of the season and hit great with great gap-to-gap level swing, but I'm not so sure the Phillies feel like he's a long-term answer at the third base position. And Nick Castellanos, who I could imagine the Phillies finding some value for after a pretty good season and postseason, but he's probably the one guy that they signed during that time period that has not exactly fit perfectly. Those are the three players I think you are likeliest to see traded. Best case scenario for me as a fan of the team is that they find a way to get one of these stud pitchers from Seattle in a trade for Alec Bohm. They'd obviously have to give up a lot more than Bohm to get one of the studs. Logan Gilbert is the pipe dream for me. It's going to require Bohm plus, but I think it's on the list of options. Also in the trade market, a player that I would love is Cody Bellinger, who I think would add a level of versatility that this team desperately needs. The ability to hit for contact, the ability to play multiple positions in the field at a high level. Those are both players that I like a lot, in addition to Seiya Suzuki, another Cubs outfielder. So if you're sort of asking me for a pipe dream, those are some names. I'll give you Logan Gilbert, I'll give you Seiya Suzuki, and I'll give you Cody Bellinger. And I think you could see the Phillies move on from any of Bohm, Castellanos, or Suarez.
Bohm only has 1 year left on his deal?
Well, he hasn't signed. So let me pull up his situation, his ARB situation, because that's what it would come down to. So Alec Bohm is free agency eligible at the end of the 2026 season. So you'd be signing up for 2 years, 2 more years of Alec Bohm.
Okay, well then that's got value right there.
There's a lot of value there. The problem is you can't really play him anywhere. He's a significantly below average third baseman, and he plays it. He basically costs you like a run a week. Teams don't really care much about that, and neither do I. You put him at first base.
It sounds like an A player already. Can hit.
A league average regular.
Let's go.
I could see him moving out west. I think his laissez-faire attitude is also a little bit more conducive to a smaller market and not a cauldron like Philadelphia.
I'm going to the Monday Night Football tonight. Cowboys. I know you guys will be talking about that tomorrow morning on Get Up.
Yes, we'll do a lot of Cowboys and probably very little Juan Soto, unfortunately, for our national audience. But Joe Burrow versus Cooper Rush. I mean, who's turning off that freaking game?
Cannot wait, right? Is Scott Van Pelt still employed by ESPN?
Oh yeah, he's our Monday Night Countdown guy. You gonna see him tonight on the at the stadium?
Are you sure he didn't get fired? Because last night they broke away from Sunday Night Football coverage to talk about Juan Soto. I was worried about his job.
Oh, we love baseball here at the network.
Like all of a sudden, he even
As you
said,
well
he's like,
know.
we break away from football coverage because a guy just signed a record contract. I was like, we were on the plane. I'm like, oh my God, this is the end of Scott Van Pelt's career. I was worried about it.
No, look, I carry as much water for baseball at this company as you well know. I'm fighting the good fight. I approach every day with unbridled enthusiasm as it gets floated in favor of the next Cowboys segment. But we're fighting the best fight we can over here. It's all well and good.
LeBron, Cowboys, and now Juan Soto. Who would have ever thought it?
Look, Juan Soto is going to out-earn everybody that we talk about in basketball or football, so more power to
You're
him.
on record. You love this deal.
I like the deal. Is it an overpay? Sure, by the perspective of what players like this have cost. I don't, however, have the same concerns that you do about his lack of athleticism or ability to run or play defense. I think if this deal winds up failing, it's going to just because they put too many eggs in one basket, and it's really hard for a player to be that good for that long. And if he winds up suffering unforeseen injuries, if the power gets sapped by something, that's the thing it comes down to. It's a risk play because it's a very heavy basket now, but I firmly believe that he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer and that the Mets are going to benefit extraordinarily from it. This to me is not a situation where you're signing Albert Pujols away from the Cardinals and, by year 3, he's already tanked in that deal.
Yeah, I don't wish this, and knock on wood, do not want this to happen, but you're talking about a young man who's played a lot of games.
Oh, yeah.
At 26 years old. And we know what happens with the human body once it gets into the 30s. I mean, that could be the other thing that really derails this deal is when the injury bug starts to hit, because it happens to everybody. I mean, Cal Ripken Jr. was a freak. Majority of everybody at some point in their 30s starts hitting the injury bug.
That's the big downside here. To me, I have literally his skill set is unassailable. I don't think that there's almost any chance that Juan Soto is a bust because of declining skill. It's going to be the unforeseen. It's going to be an if-then proposition. If he winds up getting hit in fracturing his handmate bone by a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and that tanks a season, and then he has to have a second surgery in the offseason because of complications and unforeseen things like that. That's what will tank this deal, not any sort of piece of declining skill. I genuinely believe he to be a Hall of Fame talent, and I think the Mets, at least for the first half of this deal, are going to be super happy that they have him.
How fired up are all the kids for you, Christmas? Because you got the young kids, you got young ones. This is the best time of the year.
They love hanging not only hanging the ornaments on the tree, but pulling them off. And so now I'm just finding random ornaments around the house. Charlotte has probably broken 3 red bulbs already because she sees a ball and throws it when it's actually like a light glass bulb, which is probably not great parenting. But look, I mean, after this Juan Soto contract, I've already broken ground on the batting cage in my backyard. Actually, they broke ground at 8:00 this morning. So this actually provides me an opportunity to retire. So look, if you're a kid out there and you're not sure what sport to play, we now have our answer. Play baseball, kids. Play baseball.
And not only am I building a batting cage, I'm making my kid hit left-handed, and I never allow him to swing. He just looks. What's it? Striker ball. You
hate it. You hate it.
But hey, if it's gonna get paid, I am literally, you cannot swing, and you just got to be able to decipher striker ball.
You're a total base guy, and I respect it.
My friend, you are the best, and that's why ESPN loves you so much. I will be at the Cowboy game tonight. I will get up early to hear you talk about Monday Night Football tomorrow morning on Get Up.
You're a good man. Talk soon, boys.
Be well. You're the best. Paul Hembekides, ESPN, better known as Hembo. Stats guys, I get it. I get why people are going to love this deal. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be like, I don't know if what's going to justify this deal for me? I get if this is about the symbol, like us for Luis Severino, I get it. But Shohei Ohtani's deal was a symbol, and it was about making the money, right? He's going to make you money. Oh my God. Is there anybody better than the man who just walked up? You're talking about a leader. You're talking about a World Series champion. You're talking about a man that at one point transformed what leadership meant with our organization. And it didn't matter what organization he went. All he did was win. How many World Series rings you got? 3? He's got 2 World Series.
Oh, the Rays. That's
Do you
right.
want to break before we bring on?
Let's break.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Bay Area legend, a 2-time World Series champion next right here on A's Cast Live.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Link Soul has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the pennant race action and the upcoming NFL and college football seasons. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
A's general manager David Forst was on A's Cast Live and discussed building the A's roster heading into a new ballpark in West Sacramento.
What we do know about Sutter Health is that as it relates to the PCL, it's a pretty average ballpark. I mean, it's not Albuquerque, it's not Las Vegas. Colorado Springs isn't in the PCL anymore, but it's not Colorado Springs. So it has always played as a slight hitter's ballpark, but nothing compared to the rest of the PCL. Now, once we put Major League players in there and the Major League environment, we'll see. Right now, we're going to build a team that we think is the best in any environment. We knew the Coliseum well. We knew the kind of things that played here. It'll take us a little while at Sutter Health, but I think we should expect it to be pretty neutral until it proves otherwise.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
Brent Rooker, fresh off winning the 2024 Silver Slugger, spoke with Townie on A's Cast Live about the moment he realized his 2024 season was taking off.
Mid to late June, I think, is kind of when I kind of made the switch from who I was in 23 to who I was for the rest of the year. I think up until I think it was a series in Anaheim towards the back half of June. That up until that point, I had kind of been who I was in 23 still. The strikeouts were high. The average was kind of right where it had been the previous year. I had the power spurts, which is what were kind of keeping me productive. And then I made a few adjustments both swing-wise and preparation-wise. And to my approach that series in Anaheim for the rest of the year, I was able to remain much more consistent in the fact that, like, I've always been very streaky power-wise, which is how a lot of guys work in the big leagues, right? The slugging kind of comes in bunches. You hit one homer, you tend to hit four. It's kind of that thing. So The difference between this year and last year was during those between those streaks of power, between those little home run bursts, I was able to maintain. I was able to take my singles. I was able to take my walks. I was able to continue to get on base and remain productive in other ways to where I wasn't just solely relying on hitting homers to produce runs.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
And the underdog Oakland Athletics win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
Hi, I'm Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer, three-time World Series champion with the Oakland A's and World Series MVP. Winning takes teamwork, skill, and heart. So when you need an ace for a personal injury lawyer that will win you the game, go with the winning team. Call Venardi Zerata at 833-VZ-for-me or go lawfirm.com. Venardi Zerata, the official injury law firm of the Oakland A's.
Streaming from the winter meetings, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
I will never forget. I actually talked about Tokyo earlier today.
Yeah.
2012 Tokyo, Japan. Jonny Gomes, I hardly knew you. You told me the team was going to the playoffs.
Yep.
I'm like, what is this guy smoking? You got to be kidding me. Going to the playoffs. Josh Townsend was just a kid. I mean,
young pop, Cespedes,
remember
Reddick.
Sizemore was supposed to be the third baseman.
Yep.
He got hurt.
Cliff Pennington. Man, there were some names. Rookies down the stretch. 5 rookies going down the stretch.
Somebody had to control Josh Reddick.
We did. That was tough. Josh Reddick and Donaldson. Those are some 2 tough tasks. And turned into some outstanding ball players.
So you said the team would get into the postseason, and it did.
Yep.
And then I believed you ever since. The great Jonny Gomes from Petaluma, the World Series champion, one of the great leaders in A's history, joins us here. It's been a while. How are you, my friend?
Right on schedule. Here we are again, the winter meetings, right? This is a pretty cool event. I mean, literally everyone is here that has something to do with baseball, right? So it's cool to see some of the old clubhouse guys, some of the people that work there, and then you see all the hot shots, and then, the hot stoves kicking off of East Soto. There's news yesterday. But yeah, this is a lot of positive environment, here. Everyone's kind of up. I think the game is in a good place right now. The viewership. So yeah, it's just cool to see everyone talk ball, baseball rap. That's all I am.
Yeah, it's a convention.
Yeah.
And you don't think about sports like you think of like insurance. You think about car dealer. You think about all these people who have conventions.
Yeah.
You don't think about baseball, but that's really what this is. And then everybody in the game, as you mentioned, all the clubhouse people, all the PR people, all the people in tickets, people in security, like everybody meets and we, the media, are kind of on the outside of it, covering it, hoping for this big news. We didn't get it last year, but clearly we've gotten it this year. I first want to start with the A's when Severino signed for $67 million. To me, huge symbol saying things are different.
Yep.
What did that mean to you when you heard it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since the A's just opened up the checkbook, right? And, I mean, for it to be the biggest contract, in A's history, that's cool. It would have been awesome if it was a homegrown guy, but hey, I mean, I remember when Jason Worth went to Washington, right? And it was kind of like,
it's like a 125 or whatever it was. It was huge.
It was a huge deal, but it was like Washington's in to play, and they ended up getting the title down the road in 18. But yeah, I think Oakland's in play. Absolutely. And I think they got a good team. They got a good young talent. They're exciting to watch down the stretch. Like I was calling them like dream crushers. So you go from dream crushers, right, to just now having the dream, right? You can't be a dream crusher every year, but they got a nice core, I love the staff. I love the fan base. So I think, that was a good move. Hopefully some more come, but there's some studs within that clubhouse already.
Something that we'll probably talk more about later on, maybe next year. I wanted to address it with you. I know I'm going to do it with Duquette coming up. When was Duquette showing up? When's the Duke showing up?
The Duke.
He told me 3:30 today.
Today?
Yeah.
And I learned this with the Raiders, is probably next year or definitely year 3, people are going to start signing up because they want to be in Nevada. As a player, you understand it. You don't want to pay the state taxes for the games you play at home, That's going to be a big player for the A's.
It's going to be a huge player. And people talk about like the strip and, you know, all this stuff. I mean, it's no different than New York, Chicago, Miami, where everything, you know, strives. But yeah, I think getting ahead of the curve with the A's and jumping on the bandwagon now if you're not on. And yeah, when that stadium goes up, there's going to be some dudes knocking on the door that are going to want to play there for sure.
Yeah, that's a big difference paying whatever it is, 13.3% of your every single check at home going to the state of California versus zero in Nevada.
Yeah, that
it
moves
plays
the needle.
huge.
It
It
moves
plays
the needle.
huge. And that's one of the reasons, you know, we've heard about why all the money's being deferred by Ohtani. And I know for some fans, you don't want to hear taxes, but this is why it's why guys are getting these big signing bonuses.
Yep.
It's to subvert the state taxes.
Yeah, when you're talking about that money, I mean, it moves the needle. There's a lot of money going out of your check weekly. And if you could have it another way, absolutely.
I know as a former player, you're going to love the Juan Soto deal.
Yeah.
If you were a front office person, would you love the Juan Soto deal?
For the Mets, sure, right? I think it's great. I mean, it's so wild to think that he hits free agency at 26, right? That's a lot of people's rookie year.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we have a farm system for a reason to go through the farms, but yeah, it's a lot of money. It's well-deserved. It's wild to think that he is double Judge. If you look at it that way, like you take Judge's contract,
doubled Mookie Betts.
Yeah. Yeah. But
almost doubled Trout when
yeah.
Trout signed that, what he was doing in his prime.
Right. I mean, he's good. He deserves it. That's awesome. Right. I mean, it's
once
great.
again, I want you to think as a front office guy, not as a player.
Okay. Well, only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Because you know, you get into your 30s. We were just talking about this with Paul Hembekides from ESPN. You get into your 30s, your body starts to change.
Yep.
Staying healthy, that's harder.
Yep.
We learned with the Pujols deal. Now that this thing goes till he's now 41 years old. I mean, what's that like playing at the highest level, like in your mid 30s?
So yeah, I was actually just talking about today. Like, could I play right now? Right, I'm 44, but you know, could I compete, or like, when did I stop? And to me, I don't think I lost a step or whatever. But what got me actually was like my eyesight. Right?
Yeah, it starts to change.
The human element of your
FP
eyes.
Santangelo was the first guy who told me that.
Yeah.
That FP, like I think he was with the Expos, and he said when he hit like 31, like all of a sudden he didn't see as well.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I was just talking about like 94 miles per hour. Like I would wait on 94. And then like later in my career, I'm like, that's 94. I felt like 100. Right. And it's just 60 feet, 6 inches with your eyes. And as you age, it gets tough. But not everyone does. Right. But that was my case. And that's kind of like what was kind of the last straw. I was like, dude, I can't see anymore. Could I have got glasses, contacts? I don't know. But I gave it a great run. Got a couple rings, hung a few pennants. 2012 in Oakland was one of my favorites. And it was just time to go on the other side.
Now, for some of the guys that maybe with all the stuff about Juan Soto, if you're someone like Santander, Teoscar Hernandez, we know we hear he wants to go back to the Dodgers, but maybe things have changed, right? Maybe like the Yankees are a little more desperate and they want to make some news. They offer you a little bit more. Whether you're a Bregman or a Christian Walker or you're the polar bear, how are you now that Soto's off the board and the meetings have a few more days? How are you feeling as one of those free agents?
Well, yeah, that was a pretty big, check to watch come across the ticker, but I think you're feeling good. And I think I was talking about in the winter meetings in the free agency class last year and how slow and it just
awful
and it just dragged out. But what I said is because going into 2025, that free agency class is so good, right? These 10 players that you have a chance to go somewhere, these top 10 in free agents, those move the needle, right? That puts you in a division leader, and you can go get 3 or 4 bats. You got Crochet with the White Sox, who's going to go grab him.
Yeah, we haven't even brought that up today,
right? I mean, that's going to be a big move. I mean,
that's another reliever starter. I'll get into that in a second with you, but good call right there, because
we'll see where he goes.
You'd like to make that move down here.
Yeah. And they want, we'll see what they want. You got the young White Sox, front office too. I'm sure they want to make a splash, and dudes like that don't come around very often. Dudes like that don't grow on trees. So I'm sure that asking price is pretty high.
Not only Well, first, from the player standpoint, how much do you want to have your situation as a player? We talked about this with Luis Severino. But before Christmas Day, when all the family shows up and everybody's asking, how nice is it to have everything? I know where I'm going to be. I'm signed up before Christmas.
It's exhausting. I played 12 years. I had 11 one-year deals, right? So I was bouncing around all the time. And your
wife loved that.
Yeah, you know it's going to work out, but it's just a weird feeling to have Thanksgiving unemployed, and then you have Christmas unemployed, and then you have New Year's Eve unemployed, right? When you're laying your head down on Christmas Eve being like, I don't have a job, right? It's a weird feeling. You know it's going to work out, and it's all going to pan out for these guys. But, yeah, man, you want to get a freaking job. You want to get to camp. You know, you got to get your new swag. But yeah, it's some long nights for sure.
And also for the teams. And I still have a picture of it when Carlos Correa signed with the Giants before the whole X-ray thing. The Giants on Instagram they photoshopped the uniform on them and then put the holiday lights on them, and they were having holiday specials. So for teams too, you want to get deals done at the winter meetings because you now want to start selling. I want to start selling season ticket packages, jerseys for Christmas, merch, reason to get season tickets starting to go. Also, spring training tickets. So this is also a big time for teams to sign players so they can start promoting guys now before Christmas.
Yep, you got the billboards, someone's face on the tickets, naming stuff. You know, there's a lot of behind the scenes that happens. And that's what's so great about these winter meetings is you step back and go like, baseball is huge, right? Kind of like when you're playing or you're covering the game, you just see like these 26 guys running around, this and that.
The great Eric Martin's
there he
on
is.
the staff.
There he is.
Coach, how are you? Coach, just come by so they can see you. Great infield coach for the Athletics.
Get on in here. See the people.
It's
right
good to
there.
see him.
Yep.
Good to see him. Hey, do you have time to come by later on?
Yeah, just shoot me a text. I'll come back.
We're here.
Okay.
We're here for 3 days.
I'm out tomorrow, so.
All right, let's do something today.
Yeah.
All right.
Get you on the books.
Yeah, so it's like
baseball is huge, man, right?
Yeah.
This is, I mean, it's $1 billion industry, right? Billions. And there's a lot going on. And the cool thing is that there's a lot of wheeling dealing here that's for 3 years from now, which is cool, right? When you get into these deals and they're like, you know, they end up talking about it. They're like, yeah, the winter meetings 4 years ago, they kind of floated that idea. And then boom, it was so good to pull the trigger 3 years down the road.
How are you on? It's amazing. Any idea? I just want to remind people, if 10 years ago, I would have said we need a pitch clock, people would have flipped out on me.
Yep.
Right? So now people are flipping out on this golden at-bat idea.
Wow.
Now, you're a forward thinker. You know about entertainment. For God's sakes, you've done the Savannah Bananas.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen how successful. Now when we're watching the Savannah Bananas sell out big league ballparks.
Back-to-back nights.
And it looks incredible.
Yep.
It's about entertainment. You're doing the deal with the Home Run Derby. You
Home
understand?
Run Derby X, yep.
What do you think the excitement of the game? I'm tired of hearing about records. I'm tired of hearing what do you think the excitement of the game? And at any point, I can say golden at bat, and I can put whoever I want up in a certain situation. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a lot bigger than it sounds, to tell you the truth. I mean, that's an industry disruptor. It really is. I mean, really good pitchers, you know, especially, you know, the starters, and then again, you know, late in bullpen, they know how to navigate a lineup, right? And they know some of the best I've seen was like Jake Peavy, John Lackey. I mean, they're facing this guy and they know like 4 batters down the line, right? You're establishing your fastball. You got to do this. I just don't know what it's going to be like. And I'm thinking if the golden batter comes, when they use it, and if they use it on back-to-back, right? So say you punch Ohtani out and he stays in the box.
Back in.
Wow. I think, and I mean, you see batters all the time, like a just miss, bat spike. Imagine if you got another crack at it right there.
Can you imagine what that would do for television ratings?
Oh, skyrocket, right?
See, that's the thing. It's like everybody's like worried about the baseball aspect of it. We are. I think baseball people forget sometimes we're the entertainment business.
Sure.
Right? And Can you imagine if a guy misses a game-winning field goal,
right,
and you use the golden ticket? Oh, he gets to kick this field
Gets to
goal
kick
again.
again.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
just all this.
Steph Curry misses a shot, right? Let's put 3 seconds back on.
So it's about getting people more interested in our game.
Yep.
Would this do it? I just know for a fact it would.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, it's going to create controversy of what if you did it? You can lose a game in the 5th. Absolutely. But can you win a game in the 5th? Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be the closer. Closers are hard to hit, right? Let's get it on the starter who's got like 90 pitches, right? Let's try and knock the starter out of the game in the 5th. So you got the bullpen in the 5th and the 6th. Everyone's looking at like these lineup or these guys going after the closer. No one wants to face closers. But if I can get one more at bat off that guy that just hit to 100 pitches, and then maybe we don't want that lineup or that matchup to happen, so you go to the bullpen to get a fresh arm in, I think that's where you're going to start to see is the 5th, 6th, 7th inning more than the 9th for like walk-offs.
All right, so what if like Ohtani gets out, you already got Betts out, but then you got Ohtani out, and then now you bring up Betts again. See, it's these type of things where it would baseball people may hate it, but people would be on the edge of their seats.
Yeah. And again, I love things that create strategy.
Yeah.
Right? I do. I love the chess match of the game. And this just adds a whole nother piece, a whole nother bag, right? Like, how do you prep for it? When are you going to be shocked if they use it in the 5th? Are you going to be shocked? If it's bases loaded in the 1st, let's go ahead and see if we can get a granny right out of the gate.
Managers would be questioned. Well, why didn't you use the golden ticket then?
Right. Why didn't you use it then? Or, back to back, or, you got right, left, right. There's a lot of meat on the bone. And I don't think it's bad for the game, right? I don't think it makes the game a worser product. I don't think it makes it unexciting. So I think there's a lot of positivity around it. I'm sure some of the old timers, will get on this or get on that. And, is it pinch hitting? Does it count as a pinch hit? Right. Let's see how it goes on the stats or what happens there. Again, a reliever has to face 3 batters, right? But what if it's the same batter twice? Does that count? So it's real interesting. And I mean, it's going to create a lot of excitement because you can guarantee one event a game or 2, right?
Yes.
Both teams. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you're
an event, something to really, really watch.
Right. And I mean, can you imagine like the whole crowd chanting golden batter, batter, right? Or like, yeah, I mean,
I love it. And then think about this. When the Manning cast happened, everybody's like, you're going to have 2 guys just kind of sit around and talk about football and interview some guys.
Yep.
Well, you've done kind of like a Manning cast for FanDuel.
Yep.
Talk about that. And I love the Manning. I'd rather watch the Manning cast over the regular Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Talk about what you've done in baseball and what we could be potentially seeing going forward.
Yeah, so I think it starts is there's a lot of different viewers, right? And there's I think baseball fans are really educated, right? Because it's a long game, and I tell people, your love for the game will take off when you figure out what happens in between pitches. Because a lot of crap happens in between pitches, right? Whether it's the move, you got the guy looking at third base coach, what's on? You got the first base coach guy going to the guy on first. Is he going to move? You got base runners looking at each other. The center fielder's looking over at the right. Let's move over here. Let's go double play depth. Is there a wheel move going on at second base? So I think, I watch a lot of baseball. So when I'm watching baseball, like 2-1 count, just outside, like I know I'm watching it, right? Tell a story. Break down the play that happened in the first inning for 3 innings, right? I'm watching the game. It's not like radio, so you don't have to tell me, pitcher's in his windup. So I love the opportunity of just like breaking down the game instead of just actually just like 2-0 count, 3-0, single to right field. Like I know I'm watching it. Tell me a story. Tell me about that matchup. Why'd he go curveball? So that's what I really enjoy using my baseball IQ for the broadcasting.
I love that. And no offense to all of our longtime friends in play-by-play, but I guess I've been doing it so long and I have to listen to, every single game because I'm on before and after every single game.
Yep.
The days of last year this guy in AA, I don't care.
Yeah.
I like the way play-by-play has been presented all these years.
Yep.
I'm not in.
Yep.
Like what you're saying, what we've seen with the Manning cast, if every single time, and you don't have to dissect every single pitch.
Right.
It can breathe a little bit.
Yep.
But what you're talking about, and it's really one of the reasons why they want to have a team, why the A's are going to be in Vegas, is a big part of how we're going to replace, in my opinion, how we're going to replace the failing of cable is through gambling.
Yep.
So it's going to be in game. So folks, just think about it. Mark Kotsay comes out to the mound. There's 2 pitchers warming up in the bullpen. All of a sudden, Mark Kotsay goes, "Give me the righty." Well, that righty comes walking out. The minute that guy comes walking out, all of a sudden all the bets change because which pitcher comes out, the in-game plays that, because football, they've got to snap and you've got to have the bet in before. There is such time in between every single pitch. In-game betting could be crazy fun in baseball.
It's going to be wild. I mean, just think of, just simple yes or no over unders, right? Miles per hour, right? Is this pitch going to be over or under 90? Right? Is it going to be in the zone or out of the zone?
Strike or not a strike?
Strike or not a strike? Inner half, outer half. Stolen base, right? Hit, sing. So you could go like over 90 miles per hour in the zone for a strike and a double. That's a 3-way parlay that just you hit or you miss in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? And then on to the next.
Can you imagine? I mean, like now that we got stolen bases back, what are the odds this guy's going to take off in this sequence? I mean, there's so much to bet on. And what I dig, like a Manning show that you did on FanDuel, you're talking about all this.
Yeah, it's great. And in the bet, like baseball and betting is, really frowned upon, of course. But now that we're like on the other side of the tracks, you show me someone that makes a lot of money on baseball, that dude has a high baseball IQ because that is a really hard sport to bet. And they're starting to get more props, and it's getting real interesting. And now automated balls and strikes are going to come in too. Watch. So now that's going to be, not if it's right down the middle and the umpire calls it a ball, right? That'd be terrible if you had money on that. But Vegas that's going to be the huge push. Push.
And then you're also with a data company right now.
Yeah, Yakertech and Baseball Cloud. And that's what I've been doing for a while. And data is the new currency in our game, man. It is. From Sup Champs. Yeah. Matt Hanford over there, big sports agent. All these agents are out here.
Oh,
too.
They're strutting around right now, these agents.
Yeah. Lot of Lululemon khaki pants out here. Yep. 3/4 zip and Lulu's.
Oh, it used to be Dockers, now Lululemon.
Now it's Lulu's. There's your free plug out here. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. But data's the new currency in our game. I mean, all the way down to the youth market too. Like, I mean, you're not going to get drafted unless they got data on you. Spin rate, horizontal movement, vertical movement, launch angle, exit velocity. Can be a lot at times, but what I love about it is like we can find the diamond in the rough. We can find that kid like up in Seattle that only played 12 games his senior year because it rained so much, and we get him on some data and we see he's just, his exit velocity is 108. You're like, whoa, where's this dude been?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't get to play because of the rain. So finding the diamond in the rough with the data, and that's what Yakertech can do. We're riddling the country in Yakertech cameras.
Is there ever a time though you want to get back to coaching? Because I know as much as the data and the broadcasting and everything, you being on the field is kind of who you are.
Yeah, it is. I was with the Diamondbacks for a while in player development, and I didn't know how much passion I was going to have putting my thumbprint on these kids. And you can make a kid and you can ruin a kid, like you really can. And no one wants to ruin a kid, but you've seen it happen. But I had a lot of really good players with the Diamondbacks that made it to the big leagues. And I felt like a proud dad, right?
Yeah.
Watching these guys get their first at bat, watching them do something on the field that they sucked at like 19, 20 years old. And it takes a while and we fix it and we move forward. So I do really enjoy player development. So we'll see, maybe one day get back into it for sure.
The world's your oyster.
That's right. Rockefeller oysters. That's my favorite.
Well, no matter what, we always want to have you a part of this. Don't go
A's.
too far. I don't care how
That's
big
it.
you get.
Yeah.
Because this fan base will always
love
love
it.
you.
I grew up in Oakland A's pajamas. I got to wear their uniform. I got to spray champagne in the Coliseum. So, yeah. And I tell people all the time, like when I grew up, 8 years old in that 89 World Series, I had some of the best baseball on the planet right in my backyard. Whenever I see someone that was on that 89 team, like I thank them for how they played, because that's what molded me into loving the game and playing the game as hard as they did, right? The head first slides from Ricky Henderson, the home runs, the closers, the mentality. That was a great run. I was lucky to grow up in that area with the A's.
It was so cool to put Jose Canseco into the A's Hall of Fame this year. And it meant a lot to him as he cried during his speech. And because I think for all of us, I'm a little older than you, but Jose Canseco was the biggest he was the big deal. He was the biggest star in baseball.
He was a hot shot, man. He was.
Date Madonna.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, he was Jose Canseco.
I knew hitting homers was cool at 8 because of Jose. Yep. Yeah.
All right, buddy. You be well.
Appreciate it.
And
we'll check in soon.
We'll see you throughout the meetings the next couple of days.
Don't go too far.
The great Jonny Gomes right here on A's Cast Live. We have more coming up next from Dallas.
Brent Rooker, the 2024 Silver Slugger winner, joined Townie on A's Cast Live to reflect on earning a spot on the A's roster in 2023.
It was a special moment. It was a stressful day, and it was a relieving feeling when I got that news, obviously, because I kind of, I had been DFA'd and then claimed in November. And I had talking to Mark earlier that offseason, as soon as I got claimed, talking to David, talking to Finding, some of the guys in the front office. The message was like, hey, we're not, nothing is guaranteed, obviously, but if you come in and you perform well in spring training, we think there's an opportunity for you to make this team there into the bat. And so that was my mindset coming to that camp, just go in, prove myself, do what I do offensively, and kind of let everything take care of itself. And for that to be rewarded with that last roster spot and be given the opportunity to kind of earn more bats to get into the season was really cool.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
JJ Bleday joined Townie on A's Cast Live and shared his thoughts on playing in center field every day during the season.
The one thing was comfort, knowing you're going to be in the lineup. You know you're playing. You know you're going to be in center. It's not like you're playing left and right. For the most part, you're in the center every single game. One thing was just taking care of the body post game. I think that's one thing I learned was stay on top of your health and fitness. Make sure you're getting lifts in and you're not slacking. It's an everyday job and it's a grind, so you got to really just embrace that. And then the other thing is just kind of fine-tuning my approach. We all want to change stuff mechanically. We all want to try to improve that way, but at the end of the day, you're kind of dealt with what you got once that season starts in terms of mechanics, and you really got to fine-tune that approach. And I think I did a good job at talking about approaches and finding what works best for me to attack these guys and prepare for these guys come game time.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's bedding.com. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's general manager David Forst joined Townie on A's Cast Live and outlined why he believes this offseason the A's can build on their 2024 campaign.
As far as the guys on the field, the team, the opportunities we have, I think internally we're all very excited about what we can do this offseason. And we do expect to spend some money. I don't know yet what free agency looks like for us. I obviously am not allowed to have those conversations until after the World Series. So we'll have to wait and see how the response is when we talk to players and agents about coming to Sacramento. We expect to be very involved in the trade market. Between Dan and I, we've talked to almost every other team in the last couple of weeks. So to set up those conversations, from the GM meetings on forward, and I think we're going to be able to build on what we did in 24 and continue to add to this roster to get to a place where we can compete for a playoff spot. That's where we need to be.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the pennant race action and the upcoming NFL and college football seasons. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
For 175 years, Comerica has thrived through every rise and fall. We've lived through triumphs and turmoil, witnessed every advance, and survived every setback. Through surety and uncertainty, we've stood the test of time by standing by our beliefs, our values, and our customers. Comerica Bank, 175 years strong. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
Streaming from the winter meetings, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Got the wrong headset on. I had Jonny Gomes' headset. How good is it to see Jonny Gomes?
When I saw him this morning, I was happy to see him.
Yeah.
And now, still seeing he's doing well, and he's going to bring his guy over to come talk to you, and you can have a conversation. So it was good to have. We had him for like 30 minutes.
He's a great dude. Yeah. He's a great dude. All right. It's funny because everybody, when we're here, is always like amazed. And then I'm getting texts from people, and they're like, are you like one of the only, like from our own fans, are you guys like one of the only? Yeah. We've been a pioneer in this thing for a long, long time. And it started in 2019. And we didn't have it for COVID. Then they didn't have it. For 2 years, we basically didn't have the winter meetings. First winter meetings we went to was in San Diego. Then it was COVID. Then the next year was supposed to be here, but they put it off because we were still kind of post-COVID. People, And then we went back to San Diego again. Nashville last year, Dallas this year.
Yeah, and I think going forward, I think the next one might be Orlando.
And it's been one of the greatest things for us to do because it's introduced the industry to A's Cast. And so many of the teams all know about, because the teams had to essentially allow us all to do this. I mean, it's something that all baseball teams know about, but it allows the industry to see, oh, okay, this is what we've been hearing about, because everybody in the industry knows about us, but then they have questions, right? So then they get to see us and go, oh, this is what. It's like when teams come to our ballpark and they see us doing a live show from the field, no other team does that. It's unique to them. We're kind of the good-looking girl at the ball.
Yeah, it's a good point. Now people see us all. Well, they're going to see us different look. We got a lot of things we can't talk about yet for Sacramento, but speaking
lots of new stuff happened for Sacramento.
But speaking
lots
of
new stuff.
Speaking of Sacramento, before we take a break, and we'll be back on at 2 p.m. here Central. That's 12 back in the Bay Area. Season tickets for the 2025 AA season are on sale now. Athletics.com/season tickets. Full season tickets will be available for purchase through Thursday, January 9th, 2025, or until the available season ticket inventory sells out, whichever comes first. Season ticket members lock in ticket price for the 2025 season. Here's some of the benefits you get for being a season ticket member: discounts on merch at the team store, access to exclusive member-only events, complimentary MLB at Bat and MLB TV subscription. We love that; it's great. You can watch any game anywhere, no blackouts. Access to pre-sale tickets for A's single game tickets, postseason ticket purchase priority. So athletics.com/season tickets. If you want to get your A's season tickets in Sacramento, they're on sale now through January 9th. It's pretty exciting. Here, I'll put the graphic up so we can go double box a little bit. There it is right there. Rook, Mason Miller, Law, Lawrence Butler. So right now, athletics.com/season tickets. We're going to have our VP on, Steve Finelli, in the second half of the show in the afternoon, and he'll promote this even more with us.
Well, you think about an intimate setting, Sutter Health. There's not one bad seat in the ballpark. I can't wait to down the right field in the grass area to watch kids, families. There's got a great barbecue area. How about the Jackson Rancheria bar?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what that's called, but they're carving meat up there and the full bar and everything. There is not a bad seat in the house at Sutter Health.
No, this is particularly for me and selfishly for me because no one between you, Ray, and you guys aren't really big beer guys. So there's a lot of nice beer selection at Sutter Health. So I'm very excited for that, for days when we're able to be up there and partake and just go up there. So if you're a fan of beer, a lot of good beer spots up there that I've seen just from looking around, and this is all before the ballpark opens for us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Athletics.com/season tickets if you want to invest in 2025 A's season tickets.
Right now,
yeah. Here, hold on.
And spring training. Is it the same way? Is it?
Spring training's on sale. Here, I'll put that one up.
Yeah.
Spring training tickets are on sale now. Athletics.com/spring. First game at home at Hohokam, February 23rd against everyone's favorite Bud Black and the Colorado Rockies.
Bud Black, who got it. He didn't get an extension. They pick up his option.
Something like that. Yeah, he'll be there.
He's back for another year.
Yeah. So
that's a tough situation.
I wanted to make sure we promoted this before we take a little break here and come back with our first guest at 2:00 when we come back. 12 back in the Bay Area will be Bobby Evans, who's back with the Giants.
Well, and now it's kind of, you have to think where we are is leverage time, because all of a sudden you have a lot of free agents just gained a lot of leverage. By the way, put the season tickets thing back up. That's the most important thing. Does it have athletics.com?
No, not the one I have here.
So it's athletics.com/
season tickets.
Season tickets. All right. You have people who have been waiting, kind of like what we saw or like we see every year. There's certain guys that people want to wait to see what happens with them. Now, sometimes it sets the market. This obviously is not that. Juan Soto is not setting the market. But what Juan Soto is doing, or what the Juan Soto deal did do, is it opened up for a lot of other guys. And it doesn't have to be outfielders, right? I think the biggest winner right now is Anthony Santander, one of the great names in our sport.
Santander.
Sounds like you could be fighting Zorro, like a sword fighter or bullfighter.
We could see him and our favorite Luis Robert being new places at the winter meetings.
But if you're Santander and the Yankees just missed out, Red Sox just missed out, Blue Jays just missed out, still got your old team, the Orioles. I mean, Seattle needs bats. I mean, you got all these teams, but I'm thinking about the teams that wanted Juan Soto, who offered Juan Soto, who were in on it. you're now like the next best prize. And boy, you may not sign for $765 million, but you may sign for 100 and something, and which would be a great deal for him. Coming off a great year with the Orioles.
Yeah, you think the two biggest outfielders left would be him and Teoscar?
Teoscar Hernandez. What if you're Teoscar Hernandez? Yeah, you just got a championship with the Dodgers. Yes, you love playing for the Dodgers. Yes, you'd like to be back for the Dodgers. But what if someone wants to come with a completely different offer now, like the Yankees? I keep thinking about the Yankees because the Yankees, they went hard. They tried to stay in the game versus the Mets are crosstown rival, but they got to make a statement pretty quick. Now, all of a sudden, if you brought in, hey, listen, we're going to have Santander, or we're going to have Teoscar Hernandez, we're going to bring in Bregman. The Yankees are going to have to do something. Does Bregman take advantage of this? It's the PR move, right? You're taking advantage of, there's bad PR for the Yankees. Yankees need a third baseman.
Plus, you saw what Willie Adames got to 7 for 182. Why would you not get Bregman? He wants $200 million. The Astros only offered what was the report, like 156. Who says the Yankees don't give him $200 million?
We've learned the Astros, they have a price. They put a figure on each guy, and if you're going to go above that, they wave you goodbye. And it's a great way to do business. They've been really smart and really successful doing it that way. A lot of people don't like that, but it's just it's the way it is.
Yeah.
And are we going to look? We're not going to look at their success and how they've done it. They're really the business model.
Yes, they should be.
I guarantee the Astros will win more than the Mets.
It's not Tuesday. Mark the tape.
Sorry, Ray. The Astros and the way they do business will win more in the next 15 years of Juan Soto in New York. I will bet. I mean, I'll be retired. You guys are still. But think about this, Ray. You're a Met. Ray, come here real quick. Ray, you're a Mets fan. We're gonna get it straight from Ray, the Karate Kid, who is a Mets fan. We've already had the woman come over who doesn't like the deal. Ray, do you like the Juan Soto deal for your New York Mets? Just from the PR, we understand the PR, the symbol, kind of like Luis Severino for us. But do you like the deal?
Long term, no.
You don't like the deal long term.
It's a lot of money you're tying up into one guy, where your pitching plan, at least in your starting rotation, is to try to make Clay Holmes a starter again, when he hasn't been that since he was on the Commanders Pirates. So I would have liked to have a little more on the pitching side for Juan, other than maybe spend on Juan Soto.
Would you bet me that your Mets against the Astros in the next 15 years, I would bet you the Astros have a better overall record, and I would bet you that the Astros will be better in postseason?
We're not allowed to bet.
That's right. We're not allowed to bet. This is hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
Jim Harbaugh,
Hypothetical.
hypothetical. Your boy Harbs didn't win last night.
You said he was going to destroy the Chiefs. Weird how that game ended.
Yeah, I can't shy away from it, so I'll take you up on it. I'll say the Mets will win more in 15 than the Astros.
You think so?
I can't shy away. I have to step up.
Is that with your heart or your brain?
Oh, my heart.
It's a hard take.
My
Johnny
brain's
would
like,
say.
dude, what are you doing?
There's Jeff Passan right there. Go grab him. Force him to come over.
Is he wearing the same suit he was on with Sports Center last night?
That's different.
It's a different one?
It's
Okay.
different. It looks different.
Were you talking to Passan yesterday?
No. I did watch him on we were both watching him on ESPN on the whatever it was, when he broke in with SVP before Van Pelt was, as you mentioned.
I thought Van Pelt was going to get fired last night talking baseball. Is he going to replace Wojo? Wasn't that the rumors that he was going to leave baseball?
Shams took his job.
Who?
Shams Charania.
Who?
Yeah. What do you mean Shams is the biggest newsbreaker behind Woj?
Who?
You're out of the game, old man. Shams is the guy.
I'm out of the NBA game, bro. You know what I cover? I cover Major League Baseball.
Shams was breaking NFL stuff for a while.
I could give two. When?
He was doing, I think at one point he was doing stuff during the draft. Him and Schefter.
So they were feeding him stuff so they could act like he was like a
But yeah, Jeff was supposed to be the guy, and they end up going with Shams. Shams. He's only like 28 or 29 years old, super young.
But back to the Astros way, to me, works. And I'll never forget Jim Crane after they won the World Series, the confetti's flying, and I can't remember what was her name. That she worked for Yahoo. She's no longer with Yahoo. She ends up on MLB Network.
Hannah Kaiser.
Hannah Kaiser asked him about something with players, and he said so shrewdly that we have a 5-year plan to replace everybody. That's the confetti's falling. They've just won the championship. You're supposed to be like, we love to bring everybody back. He shrewdly told her, we have a plan to replace everybody within 5 years. And that is the type of deal, and that's the type of organization you want to be. You really want to be. We applaud the NFL. Why? We like our NFL teams to never do these deals because these deals are dumb. Because we know guys that get older and more expensive are bad for my team, and they're bad for winning games. If you can have a Tom Brady, back to your New York roots. You having fun with Aaron Rodgers?
It's looking a lot like Brett Favre from the late 2000s.
Older, expensive guys are bad for your team. The NFL knows that. That's why Jerry Rice, we loved you. See you later. Bill Walsh always said, get rid of guys too soon rather than too late. But here we are in a sport. People are applauding today a deal that's going to be 15 years and a guy being 41 years old. Wait till after he turns 30, how many times he is going to be on the DL. And you're going to be sitting there seeing all the reports of how much money he makes while he doesn't play. It's just inevitable what we're going to see. Remember, everybody praised Albert Pujols and the deal. Oh, my God, what a steal for the Angels. How'd that work out? It was a disaster. They had to DFA him. It was so bad. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. It's just a reality. Men, Johnny Gomes told you at some point his eyesight started to go. Men, after the age of 30, you start losing testosterone. Things start happening. You don't get better as you age. So why would you pay somebody as they're not getting better as they age? Just me saying that makes you think, yeah, that's dumb. Right?
Yeah.
Why am I paying you as you getting out of your prime? You guys now know, as you guys are now in your 30s, you're not the same as you were when you're 25, 26, 27. Things start to change. That's why I always love how people say when they're my age, I'm in better shape than I've ever been. I look at them and go, well, you must have been in real crappy shape back then. Because I can tell you what, as good as I feel now, and I'm pretty healthy right now, I don't know, I don't feel as good as I did in my mid-20s. And you're going to pay a guy like that? But it is what it is, not our problem. The big question is now, who takes advantage of that here at the meetings? The desperation. You just smell desperation now. Like the Yankees are desperate. How does Scott Boras, who just was dealing with the Yankees, go, hey, sorry about that. Well, what about the polar bear? Hey, sorry about that. What about Bregman? Right? How do you not? A great agent now will circle back. There's going to be fatigue because it didn't work out with Soto, but there's going to be the desperation because Yankee fans are now pissed because they're egomaniacs and they just lost out to the little brother. I can't imagine. You saw Hembo. That's why it was so great to have Hembo on today. Hembo's in New York. Hembo can tell us what it's like in the number one city for sports in our country, New York City. The two sports teams. He gave us the temperature. Yankee fans are pissed. But tell you what, if the Yankee fans later on today hear that they got, I don't know, Bregman and Fried, or Bregman and Burns, or Polar Bear and Burns, or Polar Bear and Bregman, would you be feeling better?
Probably if I'm a Yankee fan.
And would you feel like you kind of dodged the bullet too?
I'm with you that I think they did. I don't know how Ray feels. I mean, you're talking to a guy that got Soto.
Ray just took the bullet. Ray didn't dodge the bullet. He just took the bullet and said he was willing to take it.
He just wants stars in New York. Rogers, Soto. I mean, who do you want to go to the Rangers next?
You should see my closet of all the Jet jerseys. Chris Johnson, LaDainian Tomlinson. Who
Oh,
else?
my God.
Because Sean Johnson started with us.
LT is a Jet.
Favre.
I don't have a Favre.
Curtis Martin.
I do have a Curtis Martin.
Do you have a Richard Todd?
I do not have a Richard
Do you
Todd.
have a Mark Gastineau?
I do have a Mark Aston.
Joe Klecko?
I do not have a Klecko. My dad has Klecko.
Bart Scott.
I do have Bart Scott.
Can't wait.
Darrell Revis.
I have like 4 Revises.
You have Revis Island.
Revis is my favorite athlete growing up.
All righty. Exciting times, man. I mean, you know what I am thankful for? I'm thankful for the Soto deal because it really springboarded us. I mean, Severino deal, and I have to always keep coming back to the Severino deal was the first big symbol of this offseason in baseball, right? I think we'd all agree with that. That was the first symbol where it told everybody in baseball, whoa, the A's are spending money. Whoa, there's a guy that's going to take the money and play in a AAA ballpark. Things are different, no question. We saw that with the Severino deal. Now, the Soto deal happens, and that's a huge symbol, obviously, for the Mets to baseball, but also in the city that they play in, that they're not going to be chopped liver to the Yankees. But now you got to have some baseball deals. Now the key deals, how are you going to get fat and happy? Because as Johnny Gomes just told you, and Luis Severino told us, guys don't want to be going to Christmas dinner without having a job. You want to know where you were going. You want to be solidified when you sit down, when you wake up Christmas morning, because a lot of these guys have young families. You want to have your deal set. So expect the fireworks to come. All right, that's going to do it for the what? We have breaking news. I'm like signing off.
I had Ray get the key race alert from CNN when they cut over to John King, and they're doing the alerts in the for the election.
Wow, you're playing
breaking
it,
from.
Are you playing it safe going with CNN?
Yeah.
Wow,
Breaking,
playing it safe, huh?
It's the only one I ever remember.
You are in Texas.
Breaking from Jeff Passan, closer Jordan Romano in the Philadelphia Phillies.
Passan just walked by us.
Oh, breaking news. Jordan Romano and the Philadelphia Phillies are in agreement on a contract. Romano, 31, was non-tendered by Toronto earlier this offseason and joins a Phillies bullpen that lost Jeff Hoffman and Carlos Estevez to free agency.
Romano is someone that I think we on this show predicted would have been traded because we thought
1 year deal, by the way.
We thought the Blue Jays were going to trade him along with potentially Vladimir Guerrero last year, and it didn't happen. And they held pat. They stood pat, and it didn't do them any good. They should have traded a bunch of those guys at the deadline. And now, but he didn't. He was hurt, correct, for a big part of the year, and
it's for $7.75 million. So it's above his arbitration number.
I think that's a good. That is a low risk. That's a good deal for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, a team that we always talk about how bad their bullpen is. Nice move for them to bring him in because I don't think they were going to – I mean, they could have traded for someone or signed traded for Devin Williams. He might be a guy that gets moved while we're here too. We can talk – maybe there'll be more news when we come back on in a little over an hour and a half.
But see, we're going to start seeing because Soto's moved and now it's time to go.
Yeah.
Now it's time to go. Teams want to start signing people. They want to start selling people before Christmas and the New Year. You know, they want to sell the merch. They want to sell the season tickets. They want, like what we're doing right here. Athletics.com/season tickets. Athletics.com/tickets. You know, you want to get people fired up for the holidays. You want this stuff, right? You want to sign guys, and this is a week later than normal. You want to sign guys now. So that's why don't be shocked if we're hitting that sounder over and over and over again, because Bregman's going to go. Santander's going to go. The Polar Bear, Christian Walker, the bigger names. At some point, Fried, Burns, the bigger pitchers, they're going to start to fall.
Yeah, Teoscar Hernandez too. Maybe Dodgers, maybe not. We'll see.
Do you really believe Dodgers still?
Yeah, I think he'll still be a Dodger. Conforto will just be a bench guy. Platoon against righties.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you jump on the fact? You're going to try and tell me that the Yankees or the Red Sox or even the Blue Jays aren't going to come with some big cash for you?
Wasn't Teoscar already a Blue Jay?
Yeah.
Is he going to go back?
Why wouldn't you cash in? You had your time with the Dodgers. It worked. You won a ring. Now it's a time to. Unless the Dodgers are gonna give you, but you already know what you're gonna get with the Dodgers. You're gonna get a lot of deferred money.
Yeah, does he value that over winning? We'll see.
I mean, there's something to be said. Strike while the iron's hot, and if you've got some desperate general managers, why wouldn't you take advantage of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think a team like Toronto. We saw the report that the Orioles weren't really going to make any moves because they're worried about draft picks when it comes to signing pitchers, but I don't think they're going to sign them. Although I guess John Paul Morosi, our friend from MLB Network, said on earlier on MLB Network that he believes that Santander will stay in the American League East. Didn't say the Orioles. He said East, so he's maybe hinting Yankees, maybe Red Sox, maybe Blue Jays.
All right, everybody take a break. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. That'll be noon our time. We'll have more breaking news. Who do we have coming up in the second half?
Bobby Evans.
Back with the Giants, three-time World Series champion.
Torey Lovello, manager of the Diamondbacks.
Torey Lovello stopping by?
The great Jim Duquette. And we have Dan O'Dowd from MLB Network. Oh, Eric Martins at some point.
Love it. 2 to 4?
Yeah, 2 to 4. Our time, so that's noon to 2 in the Bay Area.
All right, everybody. We'll see you in about an hour and a half. We'll be back from the winter meetings here in Dallas.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.